There's a difference between do it yourself and do it for a living. At the Home Depot, we get that. And we're here to help pros get the job done with the products and brands you trust. Technology to keep your job on track. Job site delivery to save you time. And bulk pricing on over 4,000 items every day to save you money. When you've got a job, we're on the job. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
What early round surprise is in store for us tonight? How will what we saw in the Hall of Fame game affect where the Bears and Ravens go? And can the notorious BIP, Biplab Mandel, successfully defend his title? Follow along with the live draft board tonight and listen to our pick-by-pick analysis as we call the action from the 2018 Footballguys Players Championship live on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour Draft to see if the $250,000 winner is drafted tonight. Plus, Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship Commissioner Farrell Elliott will drop by in order to offer his critique on the draft as well. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak and Farrell Elliott are here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour.
You are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman.
Greetings and salutations, all of you Balkaholics and Gerzak addicts. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is the patron saint of fantasy football, the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak. Tonight, we have a very special episode for you. It is the Footballguys Players Championship live on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour Draft, and we will be covering it for you for 2 hours. Who knows? We might even get the whole damn thing in. Follow the live draft board at youtube.com/High Stakes Fantasy Football, and stay tuned for Farrell Elliott, Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship Commissioner, who will be hanging out with us tonight as well in the second hour. Shout out to the chat room right now. A bunch of familiar faces in there. Post your questions you might have with us in there. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, the show is at HSFF Hour. I am at Eric Balkman. Dave is at David Gerzak. Farrell is at KFFSC. You can post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/HSFF Hour. 347-426-3682 is the phone number. 347-GAME-OVA. You can also email the show at the inbox, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Get those questions in the chat room or tweet it to us or in the inbox as soon as you can. We'll get to them throughout the show. Audio engineer Bryce, producer mutual friend Rob, working very hard on that. Footballguys Players Championship, main event, best ball leagues, 100% payout, double-ups, dynasties, and more, all at myffpc.com right now. And if you are planning on drafting live, which we would encourage that kind of behavior, Planet Hollywood welcoming the FFPC players with an exclusive reduced room rate. Remember, if you are staying out there on Tuesday and Thursday, you're going to pay between $124 and $190 a night. With our discount, only $79 a night. On the weekends, $244 to $264 a night. With our discount, only $179 a night. For more information on that and to book your stay, give our Casino Connection host, Greg Sidoris, a call at 855-VIP-HOST or CasinoConnectionUSA@gmail.com is where you can email him as well. Let's get to the lineup tonight and talk a little bit about what we're seeing shortly, what happened in the first round. Let me tell you, this is a much more exciting first round than any of the 6 pros versus Joes that we just did over the last couple of weeks. Hitting leadoff tonight is Jimmy Wagner, Triple J. The defending champion from this league last year is Biplab Mandel. He is in the 2 spot. Good friend of the show, Hudson Kern-Reeve, the truth warrior himself at number 3. Hitting cleanup is Tony Pung, Team X747. Frank Imbornoni is Dilly Dilly, and he is at 5. Emerson Rammel, Moose, is going to be picking 6 tonight. Another long-time listener and guest of the show, John Terry, Aunt Jemima, FOCV. I'll just call him Aunt Jemima. It's easier that way. Kurt Kikas, again, another former guest of the show, guest of the lowdown. The Altadena Assassin is going to be picking 8th. Dean Sykes, Lazy Crickets at 9. Our friend Ray Chung, Team Hong Kong, which I believe he might be calling in tonight from Hong Kong to talk about the draft. He is picking 10th. Ken Orvitz, Heroes and Villains at 11. And Vince Staffolino, BC Staff number 3, is rounding things up at Team 12. Dave, welcome in. It's an exciting show, not just because we're on an hour early, not just because we're doing 2 full hours, but thank God this is, fingers crossed, our last live draft coverage of the 2018 season.
Yep, it's been a long road, Balky, and we're finally at the end of it.
Hashtag arduous is how I would call it. But it's been fun. We've seen a lot of cool stuff. I got to tell you, I teased it at the top of the show, nothing as fun as what we have seen tonight. Let's get into what took place in the first round. We got a bonanza of crazy picks here, in which I appreciate. We love seeing people thinking outside the box and not adhering to ADP or chalk. It always makes for an entertaining draft, especially when we just covered 6 of them straight that largely went according to plan. Leading things off tonight, right away, a surprise first pick, Ezekiel Elliott to Jimmy Wagner at the 101. Todd Gurley goes to Biplab Mandel at the 102. David Johnson to Kern-Reeve at the 103. And then another shock at 104 tonight, Tony Pung takes Odell Beckham Jr. Ahead of a lot of other guys who had normally gone earlier than Beckham in drafts. He takes Beckham at the 104 as the first receiver off the board. I don't know if I've seen this all season, Dave. Le'Veon Bell to Frank Imbornoni at the 105?
Yeah, that's pretty late, huh?
Did something happen to Le'Veon Bell? Did Jalen Samuels catch like an 80-yard touchdown pass in practice today?
I haven't seen anything, but players can drop. When ODB goes for that, that's what happens.
Yes, Le'Veon Bell at the 105, very surprising. Alvin Kamara right after that to Moose, that's Emerson Rammel at the 106. Antonio Brown coming off the board to Aunt Jemima at the 107. Saquon Barkley to Kurt Kikas with the 8th overall pick, followed by DeAndre Hopkins to Dean Sykes. A trio of running backs end the first round. It's Melvin Gordon to Ray Chung. It is Leonard Fournette to Ken Orvitz, and then Vincent Staffolino takes Kareem Hunt with the final pick in the first round. This is craziness.
You okay over there?
Yeah, I didn't expect to see this. The thing is, we get so conditioned to say, and Jen Ryan from Football Diehards, I think she probably did the most shocking thing of all the pros versus Joe's drafts. She started off with 3 straight tight ends, and that was fun. But you don't really see, like, when this is the 7th, and technically, honestly, this is like the 9th live draft we've done, if you include Genesis and Revelations. When you see something like this, it catches you off guard. I don't know what these guys are capable of doing tonight.
Are you going to be able to continue the broadcast? Do you know what to say?
I don't know. Frankly, I
thought the robot thought you was just going to announce the first round like usual. The first 6 picks are all the same, right?
Yeah, exactly. People don't realize it's been pros versus Joes. I had a recording that I just played so I could get a drink because I knew how 101 to 106 would go. It was the same.
So whenever, this is not a best ball format. It's a classic style format, 20 rounds. So taking Beckham at 4 is I would say more acceptable because you can get running backs later. Running backs don't get pushed up quite as much in this format versus best ball.
I should remind everybody, these guys all paid $350 unless this was the third team out there, 3-pack. Then they only paid $300 now because of the 3-pack discount. And they'll be competing in a $2.1 million prize pool for a $250,000 grand prize, as well as league prizes, too. If you want to compete against these guys in the overall contest, you can do so at myffpc.com/footballguys. We'll have drafts going on basically from now until right up until the kickoff of the opening night game, which I believe is Atlanta and Philadelphia this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. It could sell out. It could sell out early. It has sold out early the past 2 years.
Do we have any Football Guys drafts scheduled on game day? Do we have game day drafts?
Yeah, we do have them scheduled. We have them listed. They're kind of limited. I mean, look, they're not limited now, but effectively, if we get to the final draft so we can list and they sell out, they sell out.
They sell out, yeah. So get in while the getting's good. Let's get back to the good second round that took place here. Julio Jones at the 201 to Staffolino to go with his Kareem Hunt. Keenan Allen is going to be joining Leonard Fournette on the Heroes and Villains squad for Ken Orvitz. Dalvin Cook is the second straight running back selected by Ray Chung. It's Melvin Gordon. It's Dalvin Cook at the 10 hole tonight. Rob Gronkowski, first tight end, comes off the board at the 204. Tonight, that is to Dean Sykes' Lazy Crickets. Michael Thomas to the Altadena Assassin. That's Kurt Kikas. He goes at the 205 tonight. Christian McCaffrey to John Terry, followed by Devontae Freeman to Emerson Rammel. That is a couple of running backs that he starts off, Kamara and Freeman. A.J. Green and Devontae Adams are the next two picks off the board. Green to Frank Imbornoni, Devontae Adams to Tony Pung. Travis Kelce is the second tight end off the board. He falls to the 210 tonight. Joe Mixon at the 211 to Biplab Mandel to go with Todd Gurley. And then Jordan Howard completes the second round as he joins Ezekiel Elliott on Team Triple J. So 2 rounds in the books tonight. Dave, how many Le'Veon Bell, A.J. Green starts have you seen this year? Not too many, I'll bet.
I don't know, but you're right.
Yes. Henry Muto, I wish people would think outside the box when I draft. Comment from the chat tonight. Yes, we all would like to. Sometimes I think these guys, and I can't speak to how many teams each of these guys have. I can tell you that some of these guys have already drafted some other teams in the Football Guys Players Championship. I can tell you that some of them have drafts scheduled down the road. I wonder if, people guys like this would, when they do have multiple drafts, this is the draft to try stuff out, to be shocking, just, because we're podcasting it, everybody's seeing this on YouTube, everybody's downloading it on Apple Podcasts and so forth.
Tens of people will see this.
Well, maybe 10. Don't. There's
a few thousand that download.
Yeah, and
a few 100,000 that download.
Not quite, but we've had, over the course of our 7 years on the show, we've had several 100,000 downloads.
I'm sure we have.
But yeah, not
many
big
accidental, but whatever. They all count.
Exactly. We talked about earlier, you said how running backs, there's not as much of a premium in this format when you're talking about a 20-round managed team rather than a 28-round set it and forget it best ball. Is that the only position that you think is effective? I mean, is that the most drastically effective position? Tight ends, receivers, how do they go?
I think quarterbacks are the ones that drop the most in this format because in best ball, you can't make any pickups at quarterbacks. And then usually most people are trying to grab 3, and you have 32 teams, so obviously not everyone can get 3. So I think that quarterback is one. Here, people can just wait and wait and wait. Sometimes you can wait till the 13th round and still get somebody that's decent, like Kirk Cousins or somebody.
Most shocking pick of the first round tonight. Ezekiel Elliott at the 101, Odell Beckham at the 104, Le'Veon Bell at the 105. That's a good Twitter poll. Which way would you vote on it?
I would not say it's Elliott. I would say it's either Beckham or Bell. Probably Beckham because of that, because that's what caused Bell to fall to 5. I guess Bell getting to 5 might be the most shocking. So I don't know. But I guess I'll go Bell. Actually, I'm going to reverse myself.
Frank Imbornoni prepped for this draft for months at the 105. No way did any of his prep involve what's going to happen if Le'Veon Bell falls to me at the 105. Rod Smart says Beckham at 104 was the most surprising one tonight.
Yeah, that's good opinion.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's get into the third.
What was your opinion? You just announce and don't have a take?
No, I'd say, I know if I'm looking at this in a vacuum, which, by the way, yes, I announce and I don't have takes. That's sort of what I do.
There's normal air here. There's no vacuum here.
In a vacuum in this draft, which is not taking place here in the studio, it's taking place in cyberspace, I would say Bell at the 105 is more surprising to me, even though the Beckham at 104 pick caused it. That's still the most surprising.
Gotcha.
301 is Doug Baldwin to Jimmy Wagner. See, he doesn't really slip that much tonight despite the knee concerns. And I want to clarify, I always reserve the right to change my mind about players on this podcast.
Oh, you do? Good.
I do, and people should know that. And quite frankly, anybody who listens to this show knows that I do change my mind whether I have the right to do it or not.
Well, people should change their mind about things. If you don't, then you just, I don't know, you're not that smart, really. You gotta
make
changes.
Roll with the ebbs and the flows, and I'm off Doug Baldwin now. Just
good.
I think you make a strong point that, in the third round, what's the safety? What are you shooting for when there's so many other guys with upside here at the same spot? Yeah. So I think I'm a little off on Baldwin. Could prove to be a great pick by Jimmy Wagner there at the 301. It's not a pick I'm prepared to make right now. Mike Evans at the 302 is the first receiver chosen by Biplab Mandel, followed by Jarek McKinnon to Hudson Kern-Reeve there at the 303. He goes with David Johnson as his backfield, his starting backfield, as we enter the 304, and that's Zach Ertz. Tony Pung takes the third tight end off the board tonight at the 304. He does not have a running back yet. He starts off Beckham, Adams, Ertz. Larry Fitzgerald to Frank Imbornoni at the 305, followed by the fourth tight end drafted. It is Jimmy Graham, and it is to Emerson Rammel there at the 306. T.Y. Hilton to John Terry, Aunt Jemima's squad, as his number 2 receiver to go with Antonio Brown, followed by Adam Thielen to Kurt Kikis. Kikis goes with Barkley, Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen to start from the 8th spot. First team to double up on tight ends is Dean Sykes. He took Rob Gronkowski at the 204. In the 3rd round, he takes Greg Olsen at the 309. So he starts off with 2 of the better tight ends of this year's crop here in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Stephon Diggs, Thielen's real-life teammate, goes 2 picks after him to Ray Chung as his number 1 receiver. Tyreek Hill, the penultimate pick of the 3rd round to Heroes and Villains. That's Ken Horowitz. And then Darius Geis, 312 to Vince Staffolino. The curious case of Darius Geis continues as I don't know if it's because of rookie running backs. We talked about the volatility of Nick Chubb and the Pros versus Joe's competition. These rookie running backs are all over the place, man.
They sure are.
They just you cannot get a handle on it. And I was going to make this point earlier when we talked about those 3 surprising picks of round 1. In this format, with guys who listen to the show, who have drafted in this draft before, that maybe want to try some new things or what have you, or shock the world with picks. Never has it been more important, Dave, to get your guys, or as you would say, pick your people tonight. Yeah, it's so important.
I trademarked the pick your people.
You did?
No.
Oh, you should. You should add that to your Twitter bio. Hashtag pick your people.
Oh, man. So terrible.
It is so important to do it tonight because there is not one person, well, I shouldn't say this because I'm not in the minds of all these 12 drafters, but if I was drafting in this league, I would have no idea what the other 11 drafters, after seeing this, what they're capable of, what they're doing. We've seen some interesting picks already, and we don't know if that's going to cause some other people to do some interesting things going forward. So ADP literally is thrown out the window with this draft tonight. No tight end starts. No 3 running back starts. No triple receiver starts. I think that's a little surprising. I thought we'd see a triple running back start or a triple receiver start, Dave, and we did not see any of those tonight.
Yeah, the zero RB theory has really kind of gone away from. So if someone wants to do it, you have carte blanche to do it because no one else is really doing it anymore. So go ahead, take all those receivers and go nuts with it. I thought Lazy Crickets, it was interesting. He got a good value of Rob Gronkowski in the 2nd round, like the 204. And if I were him, this is me thinking, if I'm drafting like him, he gets Gronk, he's like, oh, I got a good value there. And then no one else really chases after tight end. So then he's like, screw those guys. I'm going to take Olsen now, since no one else is taking tight end. So that's what he ended up doing. He took Olsen in the 3rd round.
And maybe this starts something. Maybe it doesn't.
Just that we can see in the 4th.
Right, but we're basically. He took Greg Olsen towards the end of the 3rd round. So now, we'll see what the other half of the board does here, or the other 2/3 of the board here does as it's coming to him.
Except that, whatever.
But you know what I mean.
Right, except that 11 picks have gone and no other tight ends have gone. So
it certainly did not affect the end of the board, the right side of the board. They're just like whatever.
Well, yeah, if he was thinking, I'm going to take tight end now because none of those guys after me have taken one, then 6 picks go wide, none of them are tight ends.
You know what would have been great there after that Olsen pick? And go in the 3rd round, take Evan Engram there, and then we'll see some fireworks.
Go in the 4th,
In the 4th, yeah. That would have been interesting.
Sure.
Sadly, we won't see that, but I can tell you what we did see as we kick off the 4th round here. After Darius Geis, Vince Staffolino grabs his 2nd receiver. 2 running backs, 2 receivers for Staffolino. It is Golden Tate, the Detroit Lions receiver. Nobody started off with 3 straight receivers, but now in rounds 2 through 4, Ken Horowitz has taken 3 straight receivers, following the Keenan Allen and Tyreek Hill selections in rounds 2 and 3 respectively. He goes with Juju Smith-Schuster at the 402 pick. Dave, I haven't seen the latest reports on Smith-Schuster. I know he was dealing with a knee issue earlier in camp. Do you know any more about that? And should we be concerned at this point about taking Juju Smith-Schuster if he is in fact still not practicing, still dinged up, or at least slowed by that knee? You know, we talked about the importance of staying away from players who are going to be dinged up coming into the season. It looks like Doug Baldwin will be one of those cases. I think it's too early to say Smith-Schuster is one of those cases because obviously the seriousness of his knee injury has not reached the levels of Doug Baldwin, but certainly it's something to be paying attention to as we go forward here. And Juju Smith-Schuster going at the 402 tonight in the draft. As far as FFPC, again, this is best ball ADP that I'm talking about. Smith-Schuster is normally going at the 409, so it's a little bit of a, I don't want to say a reach, but he went a little earlier tonight, and maybe that's because of the running backs maybe falling, the receivers and tight ends maybe moving up a little bit. It could be any of those things. But as far as Smith-Schuster goes, how nervous, if you were drafting right now, which you are, by the way, you're in a draft right now, a slow draft, how nervous would you be about taking Juju Smith-Schuster in the early fourth?
It's a little bit early for him, but I would have no problem taking him. I love his upside. He had a knee injury, he missed time in minicamp. He was healthy for the start of training camp, and he left Sunday's practice early with a minor undisclosed injury. So it sounded like that was minor. He's back to practice now. I think he's fine, and super excited about his potential as an overall dynasty player, but also in redraft this year. He's got a lot of upside. He
comes back, and Antonio Brown goes down, which was interesting too. That he had to go back to leave training camp to go to Pittsburgh to get his. It was a leg issue. I don't know if it was knee or ankle or foot or whatever it was. But he's getting checked out right now. I think it's too early to have cause for concern there. But we just report the facts on this show and start unsubstantiated rumors. It's the two things we do well. Alex Collins, 403 pick to Ray Chung. That's his third running back. Melvin Gordon, Dalvin Cook, and Alex Collins are his trio that he has drafted thus far. We said earlier we wanted to see Dean Sykes go with another tight end. Instead, he goes with Mark Ingram as his number one running back. Amari Cooper off the board to Kurt Kikitz at the 405 tonight. That's the third straight receiver he's drafted. Shady McCoy to John Terry at the 406, followed by Marvin Jones, the number one receiver drafted by Emerson Rammel, Moose. And that begins a little mini receiver run here as Allen Robinson goes to Frank Bornoni. Boy, I like that start that he's got going right there. And why wouldn't you? Le'Veon Bell at the 105. It's certainly going to look like an attractive team. Allen Robinson nice. As his number 3 there. Brandon Cooks, the number 3 receiver for Tony Pung. Demarius Thomas, the number 1 receiver for Kern Reed, followed by Derrick Henry at the 411 to the notorious BIP, and Delaney Walker, number 1 tight end, drafted by Jimmy Wagner as the final pick of the 4th round. We haven't even talked about this. How awesome is it? Biplab Mandel named his team the notorious BIP tonight.
Very cool.
Caving into peer pressure, Dave. Just finally decided to do it. He is the defending champ of this league.
Nice. He is notorious, though.
And he is notorious. He's notorious for winning this league. And congrats to him. By the way, he and I were exchanging some emails earlier today. He said, no matter what you say, like when we do our team analysis,
how bad his team is?
You have to say it's bad.
Oh.
Because you said you did not like his team last year, and, and it won the league. So
well, he must have made a lot of good waiver moves last year.
Exactly. Well, listen,
I'm sure he had a terrible draft, but he must have made great waiver moves. Nice job.
I'm sure that's what happened. So whatever happens, know that when we do team analysis at the end, Dave Gerzak is contractually obligated by one of his customers to trash said
I'm looking at it now.
Team.
I'm going to have a tough time ripping that to you guys. We'll see.
I won't have a tough time taking this phone call. We're going to go to the 718 here. You are on the air with Dave and Balky on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. Who is this?
What's up, Dave and Balky? Triple J, Jim Wagner. What's going on, gentlemen?
Jimmy Wagner, it is awesome to hear from you, my friend. Sitting in the catbird seat at the 101 tonight, and God bless you, you gave us something good to talk about. You could have taken Gurley, even David Johnson or Le'Veon Bell. Ezekiel Elliott was your pick there. Let's hear the defense for Elliott at the 101.
Number one is, after this season, you're going to call Elliott Z2K. The kid is going to rush for 2,000 yards. But it's not just my great optimism for Ezekiel Elliott. It really comes down to, I know Henry over in the chat room loves the math, right? So if you look back the last 3 years, at the beginning of any season, and the top 5 predicted backs, like who would be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you go to the end of the season, you see who made the top 5. So 15 backs, only 4 times has someone been predicted to be in the top 5 actually finished in the top 5. Ezekiel Elliott was one of those. David Johnson was another. Le'Veon Bell was another. The difference is Ezekiel Elliott, but for the suspension last year, he would have had 100% top 5 rating compared to anybody else. Like, discount his suspension, he was almost at 1,000 yards at 10 games in. He definitely would have finished last year as a top 5 back. This kid is just amazing. I know people, they're going to stack the box. They were stacking the box the last 2 years. Who did the Cowboys have? Des fucking Bryant? Des Bryant, he hasn't done anything in 4 seasons. I don't think he's ever had a 100-catch season. I'm more worried about Jason Witten retiring because I think Witten is just one of those amazing people. However, I put in my magazine, on my cheat sheets, Ezekiel Elliott should be number 1. Everyone picking Gurley number 1 is crazy. There's no possible way he repeats close to what he did last season. Just not going to happen.
Well, and the other thing to keep in mind, and actually John Shaw, a longtime FFPC player, I was emailed him a couple of times today, and he was talking about how come nobody's talking about Todd Gurley having a Week 12 bye. You know, in the first week of the Footballguys playoffs, you will be without Gurley and your Rams. Like, nobody's really talking about that, and Gurley continues to go to the 101, or at the 101 in a lot of leagues. You think about not having him in the first week of the playoffs, you think about him, maybe people drafting drafting last year's stats, hoping for a continuation of that this year. They might be let down. So there is something to be said about bypassing Gurley. I think you make a strong case for what Elliott is going to be able to do in Dallas this year. He's certainly the focal point of that offense. I like the Jordan Howard pick in the second round for sure. I think he's another guy that is going to get a lot of touches this year, especially if he can improve his pass catching. Jimmy, the Doug Baldwin pick at the 301, we talked about how he slipped sometimes into the mid-third because of this knee issue right now that supposedly might knock him out for the entire preseason. You're obviously not concerned with that. I mean, this is basically where he has been going when he was healthy. Tell us a little bit about why Baldwin is still such a strong pick at that 3-4 turn, or at the 2-3 turn, excuse me.
Yeah, it really just comes down to numbers again. And I actually had to use my full 2 minutes on that because I pulled up both of their career stats. I wasn't expecting I was going to go 3 running backs. I really wanted Shady, but I felt grabbing him that early, I felt I could have lasted, and someone took him out like the 406. I wanted to go, and I just felt that Doug Baldwin, the guy reminds me of Steve Smith so much. You watch him play, like, when they say he's a knee injury, what they're really saying, he's a veteran. He's just making sure he's 100% for the start of the season. He knows this. He doesn't need, to be out there in the preseason working it. I don't know. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic. But the guy has produced top 10 wide receiver numbers for the last at least 3 seasons. I don't have anything in front of me, but I think it's at least 3 seasons now. And to have him as my wide receiver 1, I'm able now on my 4th and 5th pick to take tight end because I have plenty of wide receivers in my bank that I think will produce wide receiver 2, wide receiver upper 3 numbers for me that I feel secure with having Zeke and Howard running and scoring me points.
Jimmy Wagner, Triple J, joining us tonight here on the High Stakes Fantasy Footballer Drafting. From the live draft at the 1 spot tonight, you did take tight end, and let me ask you this. Well, I mean, how much of that was planned, and how much of that was you see one team going tight end, in a Dean Sykes going tight end in rounds 2 and 3? How important was it for you to secure those 2, semi-elite tight ends, Walker and Jordan Reed, who both have a good shot if they remain healthy to finish within the top 5 this year?
I'm going to tell you, I got burnt last year with Jordan Reed. I took him in the 3rd round. I had no substantial backup, and it just he screwed me. I'm reading that he's real healthy. Alex Smith is there. Alex Smith is a much better quarterback for tight ends than Kirk Cousins, even though Kirk Cousins made that dude, Niles Paul look pretty good. But I took Delaney Walker for the safe play. I took Jordan Reed as sort of like a super flex play. If the guy is healthy and he's scoring, he's going to be a solid flex in this format. If he's not healthy, it was a risk in the 5th round that I'm hoping that I can get over that hump. But this group of guys in this, I've won a ton of, football guys play championships. This is the only one that in 3 years, I still haven't made it to the fucking playoffs. It drives me crazy. I'm like determined now. As soon as I have to, one step at a time, make the playoffs with these guys and then get to the championship. But this group of people, these 12 players, probably the 12 greatest group playing fantasy football right now in my own mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's super talented, this lineup. This league always, I had somebody the other day email me saying they wanted to get in on this league, and I said, I'm sorry, it filled like 5 months ago. You don't want in on this one. What can I tell you? It's just, and the competition is fierce here. Were you surprised? I mean, like, Jimmy, certainly a lot of people did not see you taking Elliott at the 101, but I thought more surprising than that, Odell Beckham at the 104 and Le'Veon Bell falling to the 105 tonight. What are your thoughts on that?
Le'Veon, Look, I knew picking Ezekiel Elliott was going to screw people up behind me. I didn't imagine Odell Beckham going at the 104, even though I can almost justify it. I think it's a solid pick. Before his injury, the dude was going in the top 4, right? Last year's ADP, you look him up, he was definitely between 102 and probably 104. Assuming he comes back healthy, there should be no reason he shouldn't be that high. But Le'Veon Bell is Le'Veon Bell. And there was toss-up between me taking Zeke and Bell, but I feel very strongly in Zeke.
Yeah, and you got to get your guys, trust your convictions there. Clearly, it makes sense. You are on deck now, Jimmy. You might actually even be on the clock as far as I can tell. I'm looking at the YouTube feed right now. What are you thinking here?
For my wide receiver, too, I'm going to pick up, even though he's going to miss 4 games, I'm going to grab Julian Edelman. I just drafted him. And now,
Edelman at the end of the 6th, ladies and gentlemen. And Jimmy is on the clock for his 701 pick here. He's got, it's a modified rainbow at this point. 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 2 tight ends. Jimmy, a lot of different ways you could go here with the 701. What are you looking at?
I am. I'm all filled out right now. I'm going to grab somebody that I'm giving him more credit based on his history. And Amari Cooper drops more balls than any other wide receiver one in the league. I can't imagine Jordy Nelson not walking in and being a star there. I just can't do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just hopping on old Jordy Nelson before the injuries, but that's who I'm looking at right now. What do you guys think of that? A little early?
Yeah, I'm
not sure if he's going to make it back around.
That's
Jordy's ADP.
I just have best ball ADP as far as.
Who cares? We got 37.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, he goes at the 1103 in best ball right now.
I would let him pass. Take somebody else.
He has gone as high as the 402.
Don't listen to that.
So
Are you watching?
I know what you said with best ball. I took Jordy Nelson right now.
There you go.
It's all about getting your guys. There's a chance that he doesn't make it back to you. I just drafted Jordy Nelson in the draft myself, so I'm still a believer. All the flowery, glowing reports that are coming out of Raiders camp right now have either poisoned or enlightened my mind, depending upon how you look at it. And Jordy Nelson, by the way, I think that's the 3rd team I have him on this year. Ooh. We'll see how that turns out. I really like how this our little chat turned out here, Jimmy, tonight. I want to thank you for calling in. Good luck the rest of the way in this draft. It's certainly been an entertaining one so far. We will talk to you again real soon, man.
No doubt. Thanks for having me, guys. Check you later, man.
Thanks, Jimmy. See ya.
Jimmy Wagner, ladies and gentlemen, chiming in. Triple J from the one spot, multiple winner of Football Guys Players Championship teams. Certainly a force to be reckoned with at the 101 tonight.
Great interview.
Great interview indeed. Will it be as good as our next one? As we go to the 928 right now, you are on the air with Dave and Balky on the live on HSFF Hour FPC draft. To whom are we speaking?
Well, I'll tell you this much. Me and Cooper are going to meet Jimmy and Jordy out in the alley later on tonight. This is
certainly, a very well-known voice of a noted high-stakes champion, Kurt Kikas, chiming in tonight from the 8th spot, taking my boy Saquon Barkley at the 108. I certainly like that. You palm those receivers after that. Thomas, Thielen, and Cooper. Kittle and Corey Davis, another one of my guys, Kurt. I like your team. The question is, do you like your team, how it's gone through the first 6 rounds?
I like what I put together thus far, but Kittle's a little early for me, but these knuckleheads seem to like tight ends, so I figure I got to jump in there and pick somebody up before it gets too thin.
Well, get in the fray you did, my friend, and at least you're picking a guy with some upside, a young guy working with a young quarterback and an up-and-coming offense. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, he had a good history last year with Garoppolo. I think he was the second highest tight end in terms of receptions last year, so I think they can add to that, and hopefully he'll make me feel proud to have taken him in the 5th round.
Kurt, I know you've drafted some teams already this season. How many of them have Corey Davis on their team, and what are your expectations for him this season?
I've got about 4 Corey Davis teams, so yeah, something about 15% maybe. I like him. I think he's got good talent. There's some other people there who are kind of also showing up in camp, which is kind of nice. I do like him, but he's not a guy I'm going to invest heavily on. If he's there at a certain time, I'll take him. If not, I'll move on.
Kurt, as far as 2017 goes, in the drafts that you've had last year compared to the drafts this year, I think the overarching theme, to me at least from what I've seen, is these running backs that are going in the first round. Has there been anything else that you've seen in Footballguys drafts or FFPC drafts that you could see a clear disconnect between last season and this season of wow, this has really evolved, this has really changed? I was not seeing any of this last year in drafts. Has there been anything besides all those running backs going in the first round?
No, not that I've seen. I think the rookie running backs going much earlier than they did last year. I mean, for those who cashed in on Hunt, and when I cashed in on Kamara last year, I was getting Kamara in the 12th and 13th round starting early in the season. And I think the Sunday morning of the NFL start, there was one last main event in the FFPC, and I got him, I think, at 8-1. But, now he's a first-rounder. Wow. And I think what helped last year is that people had these studs like Hunt and Kamara. They got them late, and they added them to an already strong stable. And this year, the rookies are going much earlier.
Isn't it weird if you draft a team that's like a monster team one year, and you look at, and so then you head into your next drafting season like, wow, that was a great year, I had that awesome team. And then you look at where every single player on that awesome team that you had, where they're now being drafted, you're like, I can never do this again. It's impossible. Yeah. Because my team was so good, and they're all going the first and second and third rounds now.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. But hey, that's why we do it. Chasing the dragon.
Balky's never had a team like that, Kirk. But I mean, you and I had a lot of those teams, so it's tough when you have to do that. I mean, Balky, I'll tell you about it after the show.
No, I have my chin buried in my palms here, waiting on the edge of my seat to hear tales of what it's like to have dominant fantasy football teams. I'm learning a lot and just really enjoying it.
Kirk's the one who has them. I just watch everybody else.
Well, no, but I mean, in the
Balky?
past you've had some dominant teams. Yes.
Balky, the grown-ups are talking. Just sit silently, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't put me on timeout again, Kurt.
What he means is the people who are eligible for ARC or will be soon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I haven't gotten my ARC invitation yet. That's 3 years away.
Hey, Kurt, you're coming up in the 8th round here, and I want to talk to you about what you're going to do with that 805. But before we get to that, your 708 pick, Kerryon Johnson. This is one of the rookie running backs this year, and I feel like you get him in the late 7th. That's pretty good value. Certainly, and I think you and I are not. I mean, maybe we would. At least I think we agree that he is not going to be this year's Alvin Kamara. But talk a little bit about the upside of what we could see from Kerryon Johnson this year in Detroit.
Well, from the secret sources I've looked at, not to be confused with secret sauce, I've seen that they're looking to run the ball more in Detroit. I mean, they got a new head coach in there, and they want to do some things differently. They're going to be throwing the ball a little less, so they say, which kind of surprises me because, with Stafford and Tate and Jones and another player who hasn't been picked who will not be named. I mean, they've got some good passing skills there. But what I found interesting is I read one article, and they were talking about the wild combine scores that Kerryon Johnson had, and they said, Mike, they're right up there with Abdullah. And I'm thinking, okay, what does that accomplish? So I know the kid's got some skills. They're talking about him as being potentially a 3-down guy. But you got Riddick there to snipe him. But I think what's happening is there's going to be a little bit of a new mentality there. And at that late in the draft, if he blossoms, great. If not, I've got some other running backs down the road, like maybe my next pick that I make right now. Here's the guy who did fairly well last year. Unfortunately, he runs in a system that will make you pull your hair out and start drinking early in the morning. And he's a guy who plays for a man in a hood. So I'm going to go with Rex Burkhead.
Yeah. That seems late for Burkhead.
Yeah, it does seem late for Burkhead.
He's going to the 6th in a lot of the drafts we've seen.
Yeah, 702 is his ADP, so that's good value right there to get Burkhead.
Well, what I like about Burkhead is, when you play for Hoodie, you can't make mistakes. And we know that Sony coming out of college has problems with ball security. I read the other day, too, that he had to run some laps after practice or during practice because he coughed up the ball. Burkhead's a stud. He's not going to put up 1,200 yards for you, but in the right matchup, and if somebody gets hurt there, if Michel gets hurt, or if he gets put on the pine, I think Burkhead can be a good value.
Yeah, definitely a good investment with an 8th-round pick, especially when you already have 2 running backs ahead of them. Kurt, listen, you have a very good team thus far here. It's a team that I personally like with the Barkley and Davis picks, so hopefully that's not the kiss of death. But I wish you the best of luck in all your leagues this year. We'll see you out in Vegas at Planet Hollywood, and good luck the rest of the way tonight.
Thank you. See you there. See you at the party.
Yes, definitely. Kurt Kikas, ladies and gentlemen, the Altadena assassin. We should mention that, too. It was in the FFPC e-newsletter today, Dave, for anybody who got that in their e-mail box.
You've been really enjoying saying e-newsletter lately.
It is an e-newsletter. I don't know what else to call it. We are, roughly a month away from the opening game viewing party at Planet Hollywood, which is capital F, capital R, capital E, free to all FFPC players that are drafting live out there.
It's a free party, so if you've spent anywhere from $1,700 to $5,000 to $10,000, come to the free party.
Who's the team? Who's the team that
if you're not playing with it, this isn't like getting a sweepstakes where you can just show up.
We had I always do the leaderboards. I send it out in the e-newsletter every week during the season, and some of the team names I always enjoy. And I'm sorry, I forgot your name, whoever you were, like your personal, surname, but your team name. There's 2 of them that were my favorites. One was "We're here for the $1,750 buffet." that was one of them I really liked. And then the other one that was just great. I think it was a main event team. It was, it looks like we're stuck drafting Saturday morning at 9. It's like a super long name.
Right, yeah.
And clearly they did not want to draft then, but it was their only choice.
But they're on the leaderboard.
But then I was saying to you at work throughout the season, I said, I bet these guys are okay with them of where they drafted.
We should ask them. Yeah.
I don't know who it was. They obviously didn't win the $250,000.
They must have won some gas.
I'm sure they did. They might have won their league.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them indeed. Let's get back into it here. I'll try to fly through these next few rounds. Jordan Reed, we heard from Jimmy Wagner. He takes him at the 501. Jarvis Landry to Biplab Mandel at 502. Alshon Jeffrey, the second receiver drafted by Kern Reeve. He goes with the 503. Doubling up on tight ends is Tony Pung. Kyle Rudolph goes with his Zach Ertz selection. Rudolph, the 504 tonight. First quarterback goes off the board at the 505. That's Frank Imbornoni. Wow, he's got arguably the best running back, arguably the best quarterback, and in Dave Gerzak's mind, the best receiver in Larry Fitzgerald. So clearly a stud team being put together here. Spoiler alert, as far as we get the team analysis, I am going to have a lot of good things to say about this team.
Spoiler, I'm going to have a problem with that Aaron Rodgers pick.
We'll get to it. Sammy Watkins, stay tuned, about an hour away from that. Sammy Watkins goes to Emerson Rammel. There's his number 2 receiver. A couple of tight ends off the board. Evan Ingram to John Terry. George Kittle to Kurt Kikas. And then 4 straight running backs to finish the 5th round. It is Rashad Penny to Dean Sykes. It is Kenyon Drake to Ray Chung. It is Jay Ajayi to Ken Orvitz. And Deion Lewis completing the 5th round tonight to Vince Staffolino.
Kenyon Drake at the 5'10".
I was just
wow.
At great minds, Dave, because I was just going to look up his ADP, which
I bet you Ray Chung was considering between Kenyon Drake and Alex Collins at the 403, and then he's like, oh, whatever, I'll just take Collins. He's like, holy crap, Drake's still available at the 5'10".
Totally agree. I think that's a great pick for Ray Chung there.
Fantastic.
Hey, let me ask you something. Where do you think he goes in FFPC best ball on average?
Who?
Kenyon Drake. Ray Chung, actually.
405.
311.
Look, it's amazing.
Yeah, really crazy.
That's 23 picks of value in early part of the draft.
I don't know what happened. I guess there was a rumor on Twitter. Frank Gore's playing in Miami.
Everyone hates the Drake.
Gore's playing in Miami this year. There is a rumor that he and his team allegedly found the fountain of youth down there. So if that is true, then you have to look at Drake as potentially busting, and maybe that's what caused it.
Drake added some muscle in the offseason, too. He was always considered a tad bit undersized, and some of the pundits didn't like him. But he uses great speed back, and adding a little bit of muscle to try and be more of a full-time back, it's a great pick there.
I can argue, no matter whether you put on weight or lose weight, I will make the argument, no matter who the player is, that it's good.
Well, yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you're undersized, then putting on muscle, as they like to say, is
Christian
good.
McCaffrey?
Right, yeah, he put on 5 pounds of muscle or whatever. It looks like he's been doing mostly curls.
Body
5
armor.
pounds of curls.
Body armor, as
Right.
Cecil Lamby calls it.
Yeah, and if you're like Leonard Fournette losing weight, I think is great. Not that he was chunky or anything like that, but
Apologize for the technical difficulties, everybody. We will get the live stream back up on YouTube, and I believe we are back connected on Blog Talk Radio. So I apologize for that. The thing I was trying to do the whole time, Dave, was keep in my mind, I'm like, okay, I have something to say about Kenyon Drake. No, it was Leonard Fournette, and I remembered. So here's the thing. So we're talking about the 10 pounds of weight that Leonard Fournette lost. And you think about it, like 10 pounds on like a 223 whatever pound guy, that's not a ton. But you think about the pressure that he puts on that ankle that has given him trouble, even back all the way to high school, when he's cutting on that ankle, to have the 10 less pounds of pressure, that could go a long way. I mean, it's entirely possible that maybe this keeps him healthy all season. Sports injury.
To update, it's 11 pounds.
Oh, 11 pounds, okay. Sports Injury Predictor had, they always release the guys that are going to be missing, projected to miss the most time or whatever.
Most likely to, yeah.
I don't want to reveal where Leonard Fournette is on that list, because if you want to know, you can subscribe, and it's totally worth it. He was up there. He was up there as far as
more likely to get injured.
As more likely to get injured, yes, for sure. So I don't know. I mean, there's something to be said for that. Let's get through the sixth round here as we go back after the Deion Lewis pick. It was Trey Burton as the number 1 tight end to Vince Staffolino. Lamar Miller to Ken Orvitz at the 11th pick. Can you take him, everybody, through the 6th round? Do you see where we're at here?
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave.
So we're going backwards?
Yes, you're going backwards. Right to left, like you're reading Arabic.
All right, Hong Kong with Michael Crabtree at the 603. Sony Michel seems to give you a little bit of value here at the 604 to Lazy Crickets. Usually goes a little bit earlier than that. Corey Davis, we spoke about him earlier, to Kirkikis, Delta Dean and Assassin. Rojo, one of my favorite players, he usually goes in the early 5th round. Here goes the 606 to Aunt Jemima. Nice pick there, buddy. And he actually had some need at running back a little bit. So he's now got McCaffrey, Shady McCoy, and Ronald Jones. A bunch of pass-catching backs, assuming McCoy is actually going to play. Marquise Goodwin keeps on moving up draft boards. Goes up to 607 to Moose A. Moose. That is Emerson. So he has Marvin Jones, Sammy Watkins, Marquise Goodwin. Royce Freeman goes up to Dilly Dilly. Next pick, Josh Gordon finally gets picked in the 6th round. We talked about it a little while ago, actually a few shows ago, that we thought Gordon should drop from the 4th to the 6th, and that's exactly what is happening with him. with the uncertainty of training camp. Deshaun Watson's the second quarterback off the board to Truth Warrior, and Truth Warrior is Hudson
Kern Reed.
Wow. Usually has a waspy team name. So, after Dilly took Aaron Rodgers, no one took a quarterback for well over a round, and Watson's the second off the board. Tariq Cohen, pass-catching back out of Chicago, goes to Notorious B.I.P., great team name. Then we covered Triple J with Julian Edelman and Jordy Nelson in the 7th round. I thought the Jordy Nelson pick was way early. I tried to talk
him out of it, yeah.
There's only 30 seconds left, so it was a little bit rushed. Balky was a little bit slacking on getting up the ADP there, so, he was a little bit of a problem, couldn't quite get it. May not have had a better pick.
Just one of my many shortcomings, ladies and gentlemen.
Nevertheless, picked up Edelman and Jordy Nelson to go with Doug Baldwin, so he's got 3 good veteran wide receivers, so we'll see how he does there.
Indeed we will, and I've been told the live stream is back up on YouTube, according to Rod Smart in the chat room. However, it is not up for me, which is really unfortunate, given that me and Rob are sort of driving the ship.
Do you want me to pull up the YouTube stream on my?
No.
My FFPC admin.
I'm trying to load it right now. I don't know what's going on with it. What's funny is we have a producer, we have an audio engineer for these live shows. We're gonna need a video engineer.
Yeah.
Clearly, because
like a wedding videographer that could just come in and.
No, we need somebody like an engineer, like not just somebody who's handy with a camera. We need somebody who knows what's going on.
Come on, we can't afford a real engineer.
What's funny is
we afford these faux engineers.
Yeah, well, I was doing a live remote as part of my one of my new gigs, or not one of my new gigs, one of my gigs that happens to be new. I was at a Fox.
It's a gig economy,
Yeah, it is. I was out at Fox City Stadium in Appleton, Wisconsin, where the Brewers single A affiliate, low A, Wisconsin Timber Rattlers play. And
low A. So hang on one second.
Yeah.
Low A. So is there a high A?
There is rookie ball.
Yeah.
There is low A, high A, double A, triple A.
Oh, that sucks. So let's think of that. At least it's not B, right? It's like there's triple A, double A,
yeah, you can look
A,
at it.
and then it would be like B. It's kind of like when you have bond ratings.
Yeah.
Anyway, low A, that sucks. Go ahead.
Indeed, it does. So we look at. I had to try to figure out how to set up these live remotes, and I'm taking pictures with my phone.
Did you learn that in college?
I did, but it's been 6.5 years since I set one of these things up.
Yeah,
so I'm trying to get back into the flow of it. And
how's it going? Is it good?
I will say this: I wish every show that we do could be a live remote, because you don't have this intimidating huge board in front of you like you do in the studio, which I'm more concerned about that. Anyway, so I'm told that the YouTube stream popped out again. We're working on trying to get that going again. I apologize to everybody for the technical difficulties we are having tonight. It wouldn't be us if there weren't technical difficulties.
Yeah, or Blog Talk Radio. Man, I'm just looking at this overall draft board here, and after 8 full rounds, we have a smattering of quarterbacks. A total of 5 gone. It's just that, and 3 of them went in the 8th round. So we haven't gone through the 7th round yet, but you will see nary a pink sticker in the 7th round. There are no quarterbacks being drafted in the 7th round.
Yes.
Which is why I go back. I'm going to talk about Dilly's team a little bit here, because Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
In the 5th round, I just felt like I looked at that. I'm like, man, this team is so fantastic right now. Grab a running back. You need a running back. And he took Rodgers. I just didn't feel like that was necessary, because I know he could still get a good good quarterback in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, whatever rounds. But he needs those running backs. And then after he took Rodgers, wide receiver, couple tight ends went. And then out of the next 8 picks, 6 of them were backs: Penny, Kenyon Drake, J.J., Deion Lewis, Lamar Miller, Sony Michel, and then Rojo goes. So that's so many running backs that he could have snagged there, and still got Royce Freeman coming back around if he wanted to do that. I just felt like that was kind of a little bit of a missed opportunity. Granted, I love Rodgers. I think he's great. But in the 7th.
You love Rodgers?
I mean, yeah, as a quarterback prospect, a player, he scores a lot of points. Do I love Rodgers as a person? Not really. I think he's kind of a dick. But other than that,
don't you want your quarterback to be kind of a dick?
Yeah, actually. If one on my team, that's fine if he's like that. I don't really care for him as a person. I think he's whatever. You
don't want a nice guy as your quarterback. You want a guy who wants to cut the heart out of the defense as your quarterback.
Yeah, sure, for sure.
You don't have to hang out with him.
Trust me, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather hang out with Brett Favre back in his drinking days.
Yeah, I'm sure he was much more fun. So you got through. I apologize on this. You got through.
6 rounds.
You got through. So we're at 701.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked about the Jordy Nelson pick at the 701 to Jimmy Wagner, Chris Hogan to Biplab Mandel at the 702. Duke Johnson and Isaiah Crowell, former teammates, and now not teammates in real life, not teammates in this draft. It's Duke Johnson, to the third team tonight. That's Kern Reeve, and then Isaiah Kroll to Tony Pung right after that. Emmanuel Sanders to Frank Imbornoni, followed by Tevin Coleman to Moose. That's Emerson Rammel at the 7:06 tonight. Cooper Kupp, the third receiver drafted by John Terry's Aunt Jemima franchise there at the middle of the 7th round, followed by the Kerryon Johnson pick, which we talked to Kurt Kikas about. Pierre Garcon is the second receiver drafted by the Lazy Crickets franchise. That is Dean Sykes there. And then Jack Doyle to Ray Chung as his number 1 tight end. Robert Woods off the board as the 4th receiver drafted by Ken Orvitz. And Jameson Crowder tonight off the board at the 7-12 with Vince Staffolino taking him as his number 3 receiver. Dave, we look at this draft, and I'm just surprised. I'm looking for a specific guy. Okay, so he did go. I thought Brandon Cooks was still out there, but he actually went to Tony Pung already. Cooper Kupp over Robert Woods. I was
noticing that.
That was a pick that you would make, right? You like Kupp better than Woods?
I do personally. Actually, in the Taylor Young League, the one you were talking about, it's a Taylor Young Memorial League for Dennis Young, whose son sadly passed away at a young age. And so we just give away it's a donation for his baseball field. I'm drafting that one. It's a 77 league. I just do it with other players. Kupp did go ahead of Robert Woods as well in that draft. I actually took Cooks in that league. And anyway, I was thinking about trying to pair it up, but it didn't quite work out. So, yeah, Kupp, you've heard rumors that I keep hearing 90 receptions for Kupp as a possibility, that he is just still going to be a guy that's going to get a lot of targets, and he catches so many of them, and he's got great hands, he gets open all the time, he's super hard to cover, and he's only a second-year player. I really think the sky's the limit for Cooper Kupp. I don't care what Richard Dunn says.
Oh, yeah, Rich Dunn.
Yeah, Rich
Wait, can you remind everybody that wager that you have?
I have a bet with Rich Dunn that Cooper Kupp will outperform Brandon Cooks this year.
For fantasy points.
Fantasy points weeks 1 through 16. And again, kind of like Balky, the Mike Evans Fitzgerald bet that we have. I feel like I am an underdog on it, but I don't feel like I'm that big of one. And actually, Rich Dunn and we have emailed back and forth, and he actually agrees with me. He's not really a big fan of getting any of those 3 wide receivers. But he obviously felt that taking Cooks was the way to go, so he did.
Okay, fair enough. How did that come about? Were you guys were you commissioning a draft or something?
Yeah, I was commissioning a draft, I think, and he was in it. So
he's like,
so someone explained to me why Cooper Kupp is going in X round or wherever it was. And so we got into a mini debate, and it was fun.
It does sound like fun, Dave, for sure.
All fun.
Yes, it is. All in good fun. That was the 7th round, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into the 8th round. We have Farrell Elliott, Kentucky Fantasy Football State Commissioner, coming up shortly here. In the 8th round, we have 3 quarterbacks go off the board, led by Russell Wilson at the 8:01 to Vince Staffolino, Nick Chubb at the 8:02 to Ken Orovitz, followed by Randall Cobb, the number 3 receiver drafted by Ray Chung. It's Marlon Mack off the board as the number 4 running back drafted by Dean Sykes. Coming up right after that, you heard the Kurt Kikas pick of Rex Burkhead. It was Cam Newton to John Terry. After that is his number 1 quarterback. Will Fuller is the number 4 receiver drafted by Emerson Rammel, followed by Marshawn Lynch to Frank Imbornoni, and Carlos Hyde to Tony Pung at the 8:09. Robbie Anderson, the 8:10 pick to Kern Reeve. Jamal Williams, the penultimate pick of round 8, and that is the number 5 running back drafted by Biplab Mandel. And then it is Drew Brees, number 5 quarterback drafted tonight. The first one drafted by Jimmy Wagner at the end of the 8th round. Let's get through the 9th round. I wasn't going to do this, but it is an interesting round. There's a lot of running backs going off the board and a couple of interesting tight ends as well. Giovanni Bernard at the 9:01 to Jimmy Wagner. Nelson Aguilar to Biplab Mandel at the 9:02. I suppose that since it's live on HSFF Hour Draft, I should do it how I normally do it. Nelson Aguilar, Aguilar. O.J. Howard right after that to the 9:03 selection of Kern Reeve. Aaron Jones, the number 3 running back drafted by Tony Pung. And after that, at the 9:05, it is C.J. Anderson, the 4th running back selected by Frank Imbornoni. Matt Breida rising up those draft boards. Emerson Rammel takes him tonight at the 9:06. And I just want to kind of look at how his ADP has changed. We're getting a lot of positive reports about him. 13:11 is where he was normally going in FFPC best balls. He has gone as high as the 10:02. He continues to rise up, Dave. Do you like Matt Breida this year as the backup to McKinnon?
Do I like Matt Breida as? Yes, I do like him as the backup to McKinnon. Are you asking if I like him?
I'm sorry, I phrased that poorly. He
is the backup to McKinnon.
Yes.
And do you like him?
And do you like him?
Yeah, but I don't know if I like him at the 9th round. I mean, I think that McKinnon's getting starters dollars, and so I don't know that I would take him in the 9th round. I'm just looking at the other running back. I would probably look at Chris Carson, actually, who has a legitimate chance to start. In fact, he supposedly is the starter right now. And so I would probably have taken Carson, who went 11 picks later.
Let's move on and talk about David Njoku, and I apologize for the YouTube stream. I don't know what's going on with that right now. David Njoku right after Matt Breida. David Njoku, the number 2 tight end drafted by Aunt Jemima. Ty Montgomery, 4th running back off the board to Kirk Hikas, followed by Carson Wentz to Dean Sykes. Sterling Shepard to Ray Chung. Sterling Shepard is the number 4 receiver drafted by Ray. Cameron Brate, number 1 tight end drafted by Ken Orovitz here. And then Corey Clement, 4th running back off the board to Vince Staffolino. Boy, a lot of teams have 4 running backs here as we move into the 10th round. I'm just going to do my rough count of teams that have at least 4 running backs. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams. Two-thirds of the league. 2/3 of the league through 9 rounds has 4 running backs.
Yeah, to me, honestly, that's a little excessive. I would have 4 through 10 rounds, but I think 4 through 9.
That's what I'm saying, man.
I agree. I think it's a little hefty, though.
A little hefty.
A little thick.
It is a little thick, indeed.
A little thick on the booty. I feel like the running back, that's like the butt of your team, like it's the core. So.
I guess. Well, but I mean, we were saying how they typically fall a little bit in this format because.
I mean, they don't fall that much, but I'm just saying that you really want to have 3 or 4 good running backs in best ball, and you can wait a little bit longer at receiver. It depends. I mean, people can draft any way they want, but that's just what I've generally seen.
Right. Listen, I'm not.
There was a big stack of running backs that went in the later, that 4, 5, 6 area, the teams 9 through 12. Then if you look through like round 7 through 10 here, like the middle teams, like 4 through 8, were taking running backs like crazy.
Indeed, they were.
Altadena took 4 straight, and so did System Error took 4 straight in rounds 7 through 10.
All right, I apologize. I don't know what's.
Who gives a shit about?
I feel bad because we should have it up, and I don't know what's going on.
Technically, it should work, but
technically it should. Yes.
Life isn't technical. According to you, it looks good. Rod Smart said it again. I don't know.
I don't know. It's down for me.
Tell you what. How about you just announce, and I'll look at the stupid YouTube stream.
Okay, sounds good. You do that. We left off in the 10th round. It's DJ Moore at the 10:01 tonight. That's another guy that seems to be rising up ADP. He goes to Vince Staffolino at the 10:01. The 10:02 selection is Austin Safarian Jenkins. Back-to-back tight end selections for Ken Orovitz there as he gets Cameron Brate in the 9th.
It's working great, your computer stuff.
He gets ASJ in the 10th. It's the damn internet, Dave. I can't look. Right. If I go, oh no, it's working for me now too. Forget it. Forget it.
Another Emmy-winning broadcast here. Another potty-winning broadcast.
Yeah.
HSFF hour.
Clearly what was wrong is I was putting too much effort into trying to get it to work. I should just, wait for stuff to happen automatically, not try. And
right.
That's
throw your computer against the wall, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Chris Thompson is the 10:03 selection tonight, followed by Devin Funchess, number 3 receiver off the board. Nyheim Hines, number 4 running back in a row for Altadena Assassins. It is his 5th running back overall. Chris Carson, you talked about this earlier, to Aunt Jemima. Chris Carson continues to rise up draft boards. In fact, Dave, we look at Rashad Penny going tonight in the 5th round, and we see Chris Carson in the 10th. Is that the closest that you've seen them go in leagues so far this year?
I don't commission drafts especially as many as you do, Balky, so I don't see them as often. But yeah, I mean, that's as far as I've seen Penny drop, I should say, right? And I think that I've seen Carson go earlier. Actually, in that Taylor Young league, he went earlier. He went like the 8th, so he's going pretty early.
All right, interesting.
He's moving up. He should. I mean, the team is saying he's by far the best running back in camp, whether that's true or not, whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you almost have to get on board with him right now over Rashad Penny. I know you're already fading Rashad Penny in the 5th round, right?
Yeah, I mean, not that I don't care for the player, but I mean, just given kind of the news. The 5th round, though, it's getting late, but on the same token, lazy crickets might have wanted to consider taking, grabbing Carson. He could have grabbed Carson in the 9th or 10th round.
Right. Yeah.
So, it was his choice not to do so. He'd already had 4 running backs, but in the 10th round instead of Funchess, so that could have worked out, right?
Might be a good idea to lock those guys up in best ball. But is that somebody is that a running game that you would be looking at backing, or
yes,
for
sure, totally, because you don't even know what the hell's going on. I mean, right now it's like if you're going to invest a 5th round pick in like an uncertainty, especially when your number one running back is a PED user who's out for 4 games, and your number 3 running back is like a fumble-rooski guy who has to deal with Hoodie, the lobster boat captain, as Jason Gay from the Wall Street Journal calls him. I think that you really need to deal with it. And Marlon Mack, he's a starter kind of a name, and then he still has to deal with Nyheim Hines.
Yeah, still good value in the 8th round, though.
No, he is, but I'm just saying there's no Leonard Fournette, there's no Alvin Kamara or anything like that. So there's no core superstar that's going to get 300 carries. So I think you try and protect that as much as you can. And Penny was the guy that if you could protect him with Carson, that would have worked out well.
Moving on from Chris Carson, it's Theo Riddick to Emerson Rammel, followed by Vance McDonald, as the number 1 tight end drafted by Frank Bornoni. Devontae Booker, the 4th straight running back chosen by Tony Pung, 4th overall as well, as he did not take a running back until round 7. Tom Brady to back up Deshaun Watson for Kern Reed. He's going to have some interesting choices at quarterback this season in his starting lineups. Tyler Eifert, the number 1 tight end drafted by the notorious BIP at the 10-11 pick, followed by Devontae Parker, 4th wideout chosen by Jimmy Wagner at the 10-12 tonight. Boy, there's a lot of players in this round I do not like.
What round is it?
10th round.
All right, give me all the players
I'm not,
Tom Brady, he's crap.
I'm not saying these were necessarily bad selections. We're not in round 1 anymore. I'll tell you the players I don't like in this round. Not a fan of Devontae Parker.
Agreed.
Not a fan of Tyler Eifert.
Agreed. Yeah, he's supposed to be healthy, so I would take him there.
Yes, he's supposed to be healthy. I mean, you can say that about Eifert all the time.
The thing is, Jordan Reed gets hurt all the time, too. He goes 5 rounds earlier.
Devontae, I didn't say I like that pick either. Devontae Booker might be an interesting gamble in round 10, sure. But I'm not a fan of his overall. I do like Carson. I do like Hines. I think you could make a case that Funchess was a good choice here in round 10.
What about Vance McDonald?
I'm on the fence with that. I mean,
I like Vance McDonald. I don't really like him as my number 1 tight end.
Yeah, exactly. Frank Bornoni needed a tight end there. And then I don't like Chris Thompson at the 10-03. Even with his pass-catching chops, I wasn't a fan of his. Moving on to the 11th round, it is Bilal Powell. He is the 4th running back chosen by Jimmy Wagner here at the 11:01. Eric Ebron, 2nd consecutive tight end chosen by the notorious BIP to pair with Tyler Eifert. It's Eifert and Ebron there. Jags defense gets cracked here tonight at the 11:03 by Kern Reeve. Andrew Luck, first quarterback off the board for Tony Pung at the 11:04. If you like receivers, you're going to like the next 5 picks. There are a bunch of them. Alan Hearns to Frank Bornoni. Kenny Galladay to Emerson Rammel. Marquise Lee goes at the 11:07 tonight to John Terry. Kenny Stills right after that to Kirk Kekis, followed by Paul Richardson to Dean Sykes. Number 1 starting quarterback for Hong Kong this season, at least thus far, will be Kirk Cousins as he comes off the board at the 11:10. Heroes and villains, that's Ken Orvitz. He goes 3 tight ends in a row as he gets Ben Watson at the 11:11 and Austin Eckler to Vince Staffolino.
Well, 3 tight ends in a row, that's not enough.
It's not enough?
I think you should check out the next couple picks and see if he got
another one. Next couple picks? Are you in the future over there? Or is the YouTube feed that slow?
It is.
It is that slow?
Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever.
Maybe it is.
There is some good value in the 11th round here at receiver. I like certain guys more than others, but man, all 5 of those guys, those 5 receivers that were taken right in the thick of it, I like all of them to a certain point this year. You make a good case that Alan Hearns could be the number 1 receiver for Dallas. Kenny Galladay continues to make big plays in training camp. Marquise Lee could be the number 1 for the Jags. Kenny Stills, everybody talks about Devontae Parker. Maybe Stills usurps him as the number 1 receiver in Miami this year.
Everybody talks about Devontae Parker when they talk about him, he sucks.
Right, and that's what makes Kenny Stills such a good choice here in the 11th round by
still another
receiver
in the Miami Dolphins that might be the number 1. He was picked 7 rounds later.
Leonte Carew?
Armadillo.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Right.
And then Paul Richardson, the other one, to Dean Sykes. I like that too. That's starting to warm up then.
All those guys, you can make a case for why they're bad and why they're good. And there's upside with all of them.
I like Jamison Crowder. He's probably my favorite Washington receiver, and that's not saying a whole lot because he's the number 1 drafted one. But in a best ball format, I could get behind Josh Doctson and Paul Richardson. I mean, those are 2 big play guys. Josh Doctson should catch more than a half dozen touchdowns this season. He had the AC sprain scare, but he looks to be healthy now.
Keeping in mind, this is not a best ball format, so Lazy Crickets is going to have to decide whether Paul Richardson is worth starting on a weekly basis. But he doesn't have to do that right away. Well, he might have to do it right away with Ingram. But he has to decide, and he also might have to do it because then he's going to maybe be behind Chris Carson. Anyway, so maybe
it won't be a tough decision at all.
Richardson, put him right in there.
Yeah, just I'm going to draft all these guys that have all the question marks in the early part of the season early, have that upside in my back pocket, and then I'm going to start these guys that you would think I have to make a decision. No, I really don't. Hopefully
he'll be flexing Olsen, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But Richardson, I think he's going to be an interesting player to watch. I do not really have a great feeling as to whether he's going to be great or not. He definitely has a shot to be one of those 40 for 600 type receivers.
Right. With 8 touchdowns. Hayden Hurst. I say that with my tongue partially in cheek. Hayden Hurst.
Who scored a touchdown last night?
Hayden Hurst?
Yep, from Lamar Jackson.
No, there you go. Hayden Hurst, the 1201 tonight, is the second tight end to Vince Staffolino. Bumping him up his draft board, no doubt, after he slayed that 6-string Bears secondary in the second half for the Ravens. You alluded to it earlier. Ken Orvitz, 4 straight tight ends. He goes Brait, he goes ASJ, he goes Watson, and now RSJ in the 1202 pick. Ricky Seals-Jones there. Cameron Meredith to Ray Chung, followed by Martavis Bryant to Dean Sykes. You have Matthew Stafford running the quarterback situation for Kurt Kikas, and 2 teams without quarterbacks thus far. You have Anthony Miller to Aunt Jemima. Ben Roethlisberger off the board tonight at the 12:07. Vernon Davis is the backup to Vance McDonald to Dilly, Frank Gambornoni. Jordan Wilkins is the 5th running back selected by Tony Pung. He goes in the 12th round tonight, followed by James White, number 4 running back selected by Kern Reeves. Goes at the 12:09. Des Bryant, he doesn't have a team. He still goes in the 12th round tonight to the notorious BIP. Des Bryant is his number 5 receiver selected. Completing the 12th round tonight is Doug Martin, the 12-12. 12 squared pick is Jimmy Wagner's selection of Doug Martin. I might be seeing things here, Dave.
Well, that's possible.
Certainly possible, and usually probable in all honesty. I am not seeing a whole lot. I'm seeing a lot of handcuffs go. I am not seeing a lot of handcuffs matched up with the starters.
Yeah, that's true. People are just taking whoever they want to take. They don't care less.
They just because.
I'm going to get their guys.
Yeah, get their guys.
That's the
another
strategy.
good one. That's the new one.
That's the round 11 through 20 strategy. Get their guys.
Yeah. The interesting thing with handcuffs, Dave. You know how chains work?
Well, yes, I know how chains and handcuffs work. I'm into S&M.
Chains are held together by links. Those links
oh God, here we go.
Don't necessarily have to match up. You could have a titanium handcuff matched up with a steel handcuff.
Oh God.
You could have a green handcuff matched up with a pink handcuff. Just because you have one of them doesn't necessarily mean the other one has to match. That's knowing. Knowing is half the battle. That's going to do it for the Eric Balkman philosophical segment of tonight's show. I'm sure everybody appreciates that. It should not be a feature. Clearly, fell flat on its face. Like this podcast. Cole Beasley off the board at the 13:01 tonight.
Oh, the number 1 wide receiver for the Cowboys?
Is he the number 1?
Actually, I heard someone say that.
I read that the Cowboys plan to play him on the outside this year. Yeah, that's
because
right.
how bad their team is.
All 5'3" at Cole Beasley going up against the
He's the Muggsy Bogues of wide receivers.
I heard when they play Arizona, Patrick Peterson will be shadowing him all over the field.
You know, Beasley's hard to cover. I don't care where he's. Of course, Beasley's actually talented and he's normally good in the slot. So what are they gonna do? Oh, let's put him out way up on the top so we'll never throw to him. The Cowboys are like, I swear,
Patrick Peterson could just swallow him up, like literally swallow him up, and I mean you can't even call pass interference because you won't be able to see Beasley.
I'm telling you, when I watch Cowboys games, I think they have a wider field than other teams because they send that wide receiver out as far as you can possibly go, so they're almost on the sideline, and then they just leave him out there. They never throw to him.
Yeah, well, that happened.
They did that with Dez for so many years. I think they're going to do that with Beasley this year. Just going to put him on an island. They're just be like, oh, just pretend to block him a little bit.
Right, exactly. Right after Beasley is Kelvin Benjamin. Say what you will with Kelvin Benjamin, Dave, but he's the number one receiver on Buffalo, which they don't have a real quarterback, allegedly. They don't have a heavy passing offense. But 1302 for the number one receiver on a team, it's not nom level, but it's close.
I was waiting for you to do that.
It's not nom. It's more like kind of tasty.
It's
It's
God. The show's getting more and more dreadful.
Tyler, this is what happens when we do
when's
7 2-hour shows.
God, when's Farrell calling?
Well, you know, Farrell's actually in town right now. Farrell is the KFFSC commissioner. He's actually in town in Northeast Wisconsin for the big Mile of Music Festival, 200 bands, like 900 sets, all within 1 mile of historic College Avenue here in Appleton, Wisconsin. And he actually represents a few of the acts up here. And I know he had a busy night tonight. We're trying to get him on right now in between acts.
He also has an Android phone that charges like very terribly.
Does it really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
We were at dinner last night. We were talking about.
Have you seen the size of that thing?
Oh, it's massive, and he uses it all the time. And he's like, "Oh, this thing never charges." I'm like, "Well, you're on it like 24/7." And then we were talking about Teslas and battery charged cars because we were a two-packer. And we all mutually agreed that Farrell should not get a battery-charged car.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so you're not allowed to have one of those, Farrell. Sorry, buddy.
Rob,
get an ice car.
Rob is telling me that Farrell is 2 minutes out, so we'll get him on shortly.
That sounds good.
Tyler Lockett is the 1303 selection, the fourth receiver selected by Kern Reeve. The Rams defense, second defense off the board. The first one for Tony Pung here at the 1304. A couple of receivers after that. Rashard Matthews to Frank Imbornoni. Cortland Sutton, the rookie receiver for Denver, goes to Moose A. Moose. That's Emerson Rammel's squad. Chris Ivory right after that. Finally, a handcuff paired with the starter. It is Ivory going to the McCoy owner. That's John Terry and his Aunt Jemima squad.
That's a great pick.
I agree.
Anyway, we'll talk about it when there's team construction, but it's a great pick because his running backs are light, so that was a perfect job by him.
Are they light?
Well, yeah, they're light. He has McCaffrey, McCoy, Rojo, and Chris Carson, and then Ivory. So he's only. If you compare him to all the other teams. Okay,
then relatively light, I guess.
Right.
But I'd go to battle with that running back core.
No, I love it actually. I think he's drafting it the way I would have. He's inserting tons of receivers in there. The proper amount of quarterbacks and tight ends. I think he's drafting like almost perfectly for high stakes classic fantasy sports.
Hashtag draft like the Dizzle. It gets the stamp of approval.
Draft like Aunt Jemima, man.
Exactly.
This is Sir Be Good.
Mike Williams.
It's a sweet draft.
Sweet and sticky. Mike Williams to El Sedina Assassin pairs well with Waffles. Charles Clay, Eggos especially. Charles Clay is the third tight end drafted by Dean Sykes, followed by Mike Gesicki, the number 2 tight end drafted by Ray Chung. Phillip Rivers is the 1311 selection, and Keelan Cole is the final pick of the 13th round. I like Keelan Cole this year. Do you like him, Dave?
He's all right. I mean,
could be the number 1 receiver there. Although
he's also technically the number 4.
I guess. I just read a blurb today that D.D. Westbrook's been making some plays so far this season as well.
Yeah, I mean, you have Keelan Cole, Monte Moncrief, or Dante Moncrief as we call him.
Yes.
And then Marquise Lee.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird because people aren't believing in the Moncrief. Moncrief getting $7 million plus, and yet he gets drafted like in the 18th round.
It's crazy.
It is.
It's unbelievable. Let's go to the phone lines here, and I don't know who we have on, but go ahead and fire away. Introduce yourself. You're on the air with Dave and Balky.
Hey, Balky. Hey, Dave. It's Ray Chung.
Ray Chung, are you calling right now from Hong Kong, literally across the ocean?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh my God, it's amazing how.
This is the longest.
Hey Ray, how can you call us and Blog Talk Radio crashes on us like all the time?
Exactly.
And my Spectrum internet sucks.
All along I was waiting for Farrell to call first. His calming presence could bless our draft, but he hasn't yet. So maybe he can, give us the analysis afterwards.
Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, Farrell will be. He's right around the corner here, Ray. Let's talk a little bit about your team. Look at it from a wide scope here. 14 rounds in, you got 3 tight ends on your squad. You got a good receiver stable, good running back stable. You have Cousins at quarterback. Did things go according to plan for you tonight? Is this what you were hoping for? How satisfied are you with the results?
I'm pretty surprised by it. I didn't expect so much running back value to fall to me. I've taken Kenyon Drake as early as the 3rd round. And then I was able to lock up Cousins along with my stack of Diggs and Cook, so I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, let's talk about the 4th round pick. Dave alluded to you earlier, maybe deciding between Alex Collins and Kenyon Drake in the 4th round. You take Collins, and then Kenyon Drake actually makes it all the way back to you at the 5'10". You had to be thrilled with that pick.
Yeah, I was real shocked. I mean, even then I wanted to pass him up because I already have 3 running backs there. But, I don't feel that bad about my wide receiver core, even though I'm going to add depth to it for sure.
Have you been, when you've done, the FFPC Satellites Football Guys format drafts, when you've done these, Ray, have you typically ignored, the top 10 tight ends and then assembled a stable like you did tonight, Jack Doyle, Mike Gesicki, Jared Cook? Has that sort of been your strategy this season?
No, I think most of the time I kind of take, Kelsey or Ertz, rarely Gronkowski because he goes pretty early. But in this one, I just kind of took what the board gave me.
Yeah, I mean, you did a good job, too. I mean, getting some value here. I know Dave doesn't like Randall Cobb, but in the 8th round, I'm definitely on board with him. Michael Crabtree is going to be a target monster in the 6th round. There's some upside that you had Cameron Meredith in the 12th, too. I like that pick. Gesicki is seemingly, I read something about him every day that he's making big plays in Miami training camp, and to get a stabilizing presence like Jared Cook as your number 3 tight end, I think that will pay dividends as well. I talked to Jimmy Wagner about this. What do you make of the first half of the 1st round? Elliott at the 101, Beckham at the 104, and Le'Veon Bell at the 105.
Yeah, man, I was hoping that Le'Veon Bell would fall to me at the 110, but that didn't go according to plan, unfortunately.
Sucks. We kid around about that, but it's just like when he's out there, and it was Frankie and Bornoni on the clock at 105. You have to start furiously checking your internet sources to figure out, okay, did something happen to Le'Veon Bell? Why is he still out there? Maybe he does make it to me, but then I don't know if I want him because maybe something did happen and I'm not aware of it so far. Hey, Ray, we're going to get to Farrell here shortly. I will confirm on the air that we will see you live in Louisville this year again at the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship.
Yeah, that's right. I can't wait. I can't wait to see the Fantasy Plus guys. Can't wait to see you guys, Farrell, especially the cheerleaders. Everything's going to be great.
Everything will be great as long and I'm telling you this right now, no matter what anybody tells you or what we discuss off the air, I will not be racing you on the track behind the casino, despite your best efforts to trick me into doing so.
You guys are supposed to race?
Yeah, no, there was talk of a race. See, but I'm already admitting that Ray is way faster than me. It was funny.
He's been doing squats lately, Ray. Let me tell you. He's kind of in shape. What are you doing? 170 now? 170?
Yeah, 175.
He's lean.
I actually came from the gym tonight, right before the show. I was squatting tonight. But Ray, it was funny because Ray follows me on Runkeeper, and he and I were texting this morning, and then we were texting about the draft tonight, and then I finished logging my run, and he's like, "Hey, nice job on the run," because he just got the update on Runkeeper.
And Ray, what do you weigh? You're super lean, man. You're like a totally lean guy, probably in fantastic shape. Tell us about your fitness.
Yeah, just in case the Ravens need a running back, I can back up Alex Collins.
I love it.
Awesome.
Ray Chung, satellites back to the stars here in the pride of Hong Kong. Thanks so much for calling in tonight, man. Good luck in the rest of your leagues this year, and we'll see you in Kentucky in a few weeks.
All right, thank you guys. See you, Eric. See you, Dave.
See you soon.
Ray Chung, ladies and gentlemen. Follow him on Twitter at Chung Knows. Follow this next guy on Twitter at KFFSC. The pride of Louisville and one of our favorite guests of the program, NFL player agent, pop culture talent agent.
He wears his sunglasses at night, damn it.
He does. It's the only way to do it.
He could give two shifts.
The commissioner of the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship as it enters, I believe, year 17 of the KFFSC, Mr. Farrell Elliott. Farrell, welcome back to the program.
Guys, how are you? It's beautiful to be talking to you from downtown Manhattan, downtown Appleton. I'm in the Lawrence College. I'm in some office with my plug stuck in the wall and music's going on the other side of the wall. But it is great to be with you guys.
Oh, you're charging your phone? That's weird.
Yeah, well, you know, I just love being in Appleton. Appleton is. Hey, you guys know that Ray Chung is from Hong Kong, man. I mean, it's really fabulous, the international breadth of fantasy football that the FFPC has laid out. And I feel like I'm in a foreign world here in Appleton. All the people are wonderful, and you know, hanging out with you guys, it just makes for a great weekend.
Well, you know, Tony Pung is in Singapore too, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So this is great. I mean, like, you know, Tony should call in.
You know what's funny about that is when Tony was in this league with Chris Holland, we had 1/6 of the league made up of Singapore players. Singaporeans, yeah, as it were. Singaporeans? I don't know what it was.
I think Singaporeans look right.
Singaporeans, all right, fair enough. I will check the Farrell on this one. Farrell, I don't know if you saw this tonight, but some fireworks in the first round. Ezekiel Elliott at the 101, Odell Beckham at the 104, and Le'Veon Bell falls for the 105 tonight.
I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, Le'Veon Bell, one of these days when he doesn't show up from camp, it's going to hurt him, and this could be the year.
Yeah, it definitely could. It remains to be. I mean, there's a lot of question marks with Bell. As much as we want to, you know, label him a can't-miss top 2 draft pick this year, stuff could go wrong. We'll see. How old is he, Dave? 27? Is he 27 now? I think he's getting up there.
I think he came in really young. I'm guessing it's 26.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you look that up. Farrell, we are 3 weeks out. 3 weeks from now, we will be he's 26. Okay, thank you. 3 weeks from now, literally at this time, will be Kurt Awe. And I will be defending our auction title from last season. Kurt, the overall champion of the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship.
One of our crew. One of our crews won it.
Yes. So 3 weeks from now, we'll be there. But you guys actually get started 2 weeks before 2 weeks from now, the week before Kentucky in Cincinnati. I'm told, is there anything left there, or is it all sold out?
3 spots, guys. 3 spots. 2 at 1:30 and 1 at 6:30. And Cincinnati has grown a little bit every year. We'll have 72 live teams in Cincinnati, and it's small, but it's tremendously fun. It's a little different vibe than what we have in Louisville. And if anyone is from that area, they should come give us a chance. And some of the guys from Cincinnati that have played have now agreed to make the trip and come down and make it a 2-weekend thing. So the Cincinnati thing is working out from modest, humble beginnings, and everyone that comes has a big, big time.
You can. I mean, you can't this year. I mean, next year, if you want to get in on it, you could literally draft from sun up till sundown there, which is fantastic.
So what's the entry fee again? Did you cover that NFL fee?
No, I did not. No, go ahead, Farrell. Give us the entry fee for just the main event in general, whether you draft in Cincinnati or Louisville.
It's as simple as it gets, guys. $350 for your first team and $300 for each additional team. If you want to play in a bigger league, we have what's called the Big Payback in Louisville. But guess what? It's sold out with heavy hitters like Dave Gerzak and John Rosick. And, so it's wonderful that we've sold out 2 divisions of the Big Payback. And, Brad Cruz will be there to pick up where Rosick leaves off.
Cruz is good.
Yeah. Cruz is good. So, it's a great situation, guys, for anyone that wants to get a sample of what you guys do in Las Vegas, but do it closer to home and for an introductory price that is not as bad as what you might have to play when you're going out to play for the really big bucks in the FFPC. But, hey, we're sending 7 of our winners from last year to the FFPC. 3 of them are first-time trip to Vegas to play in the league, and those are the guys that I'm most excited for coming up this season. And they've all been listening to your podcast and all been getting ready to make a run for it. So I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I thought it was Mike Mattingly actually had a team in the top 20, top 30, maybe even the top 10 for a couple of weeks too. And he won his team from the KFFSC.
Yes, he did, and he won his 12-team league in Las Vegas. Mike had a wonderful year. Mike is basically the calmest, most humble individual you would ever want to meet or ever could meet. And for him to win, that just validated my year. It was a really great thing. And he'll be in Cincinnati. He's one of those guys that comes and plays in Cincinnati as well as Louisville, and he'll return to Las Vegas soon.
If I was in that general area, I would play both of them.
Yeah, and that's the way to go. I just want to send a special message as we're talking with Farrell Elliott, the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship Commissioner. Special message right now to Dave Gerzak and Alex Kaganowski. I just need you to turn off your speakers for the next 2.5 minutes. Thank you very much. Now, Farrell, you have some online leagues going on with the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship. I said turn your speakers off. You have some online leagues going on. When is the next opening in that one? When's that going off?
August 12th is our first. It appears to be the first one that will go off and be official. We'll have 10 to 15 online 12-team divisions in the main event, and guys from around the country, as long as you're in the correct states, can play. And we've for not everyone that can get away and make that trip to Kentucky, we've got a few guys that have stepped up and have enjoyed playing. And Mark Salinas actually won as an online player his year before he'll be making a trip to Kentucky this year live, his second year in a row. But he was our first online winner and our only online winner, overall winner.
Yeah, Mark Salinas did a great job winning the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship main event a couple of years ago. Very talented player, plays a lot of FFPC as well. Farrell, for anybody who wants to get involved, who wants to sign up for an online league, wants to get involved in Draft Live in Louisville or grab one of those last 3 spots in Cincinnati, what is the best way for them to get registered for these leagues or get a hold of you?
Well, Hellbalky, since I'm a vampire and never sleep, the best thing to do is to call me on my vampire phone at 502-523-5057. If I don't pick up, text me and say you'd like to play, and I'll call you and we'll put you in. And we will get you with the great, talented Greg Sidoris, who will handle your rooms there in Louisville as well as Las Vegas. We'll get you playing fantasy football in Kentucky. And it's the only place you can play against Dave Gerzak. So FFPC players should take a note. You can come and compete with Dave. That's an attractive aspect of what our league offers.
Well, I was god-awful last year. I mean, my teams were the worst. So, yeah, the number is 502-523-5057, just to repeat that.
That's the vampire phone.
The vampire.
So, yeah,
call, text anytime.
Yes. Farrell will want you to play KFFC.
I got a text today from another 502 area code, and I texted Farrell. I'm like, you know who this is? And he's like, oh yeah, that's my other phone. I'm like, Farrell has like a burner phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, what are you trying to evade the cops? What's going on?
Farrell's got a lot of pokers in the fire. He's got music acts, he's got NFL players, he's got fantasy football. It's a complete balancing act, man.
That's his flip phone, and after the weekend's over, he'll split it in half like he did in Breaking Bad, throw it in the garbage, and he'll never hear from that number again.
That's the way to do it. The only way to do it.
It's just for the weekend.
Before we go, I have to say something to you. You have been a longtime supporter and talked often of McLeod Bethel Thompson. McLeod had his first start in the Canadian Football League last night, where he threw 4 touchdown passes in the second half and led his Toronto Argonauts back to a 42-41 victory over Ottawa. And now that team and that job is his. And if you watch the ball, if you watch the football explode out of his hand, you would say, why in the hell isn't this guy in the NFL? So I had a lot of validation, awesome. And I'm going to have some fun told me so's come Monday morning. So 2 years from now, people can begin to look at McLeod as a late round fantasy draft pick.
Nice, yes. And that's the opposite end of the spectrum. Johnny Manziel, his second ever CFL pass tonight, intercepted. McLeod Bethel Thompson, clearly
Johnny's
the
having
cream
a little
of the
rough
crop.
time, isn't he? He's having a little rough time.
A little bit. But we like to focus on the positives, and clearly MLBT is just crushing it right now. So we are happy for you. We're happy for him. We're happy for the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship. Farrell, we follow you on Twitter at KFFSC. We will give you a call at 502-523-5057 to get involved with the KFFSC this year. Of course, we check out the official Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship podcast with you, Rob Fetcher, Travis Cox every week, and a cavalcade of rotating guests on there, which I know the listeners always appreciate, myself included. Always great to hear from you. Great stuff, my friend. And enjoy a mile of music this weekend and everything Appleton, Wisconsin has to offer.
Thank you, guys. I hope I see you tomorrow.
Farrell Elliott, ladies and gentlemen, the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship commissioner that enters its 17th year of existence. And a defending champion coming from Wisconsin this year. God bless Kurt Awe. Let's get back into it, Dave. We could probably, well, I'll leave it up to you. Do you want to do some team analysis right now, or do you want me to take the listeners through one more round?
One more round, boss.
One more round it is, says the Dizzle. So I comply because technically he is my boss. We left off at the end of the 13th round. We'll go to the 14th here. The 1401 is T.J. Yelton to Vid Staffolino, followed by Peyton Barber to Ken Orovitz. You have Jared Cook going off the board to Ray Chung, who we just heard from before Farrell. Chris Godwin is the receiver selected by Dean Sykes there at the 1405. Jake Butt, number 2 tight end, drafted by Kirk Kikas, followed by Josh Doxson to John Terry. Matt Ryan's going to be backing up Ben Roethlisberger for Emerson Rameld's Moose squad. Frank Imbornoni takes Kalen Balaj right after that. Latavius Murray sighting here at the 1409. Latavius Murray going to Tony Pung. Danny Amendola, final receiver taken in round 14 tonight. Danny Amendola going to Kern Reeves. And then a couple of running backs finish it off. We have James Conner going at the 1411, followed by Spencer Ware to Jimmy Wagner. Spencer Ware is the last pick of the 14th round. David, are we set for some team analysis?
Yes, sir.
Speaking of pokers in the fire, I know you got some stuff going on over there.
Yeah, we just sold a $77 best ball league.
Oh, awesome.
Very happy that those fellas get the draft, and possibly a lady.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of which, but there's only one lady in it.
I have no idea how many ladies there are.
Maybe it's,
there could be 6 trainees for all I know.
Oh my God, we are going. The show cannot end soon enough. Listen to me. Do we have any football guys leagues we want to promote that
there's
you're
a
filming tonight?
Midnight with 9 left.
9 left. It starts in
hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. So get in while the getting's good there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into some team analysis, and hopefully we can spur you on to joining the Football Guys midnight draft tonight, which audio engineer Bryce will be commissioning, to my knowledge.
Bryce is working hard.
Doing very good work. Triple J picking from the 1 spot tonight. Running backs: Ezekiel Elliott, Jordan Howard, Giovanni Bernard, Bilal Powell, Doug Martin, Spencer Ware. Receivers: Doug Baldwin, Julian Edelman, Jordy Nelson, Devontae Parker, Cole Beasley, Corey Coleman. Tight ends: Delaney Walker and Jordan Reed. Quarterback is Drew Brees. Kicker: Justin Tucker. I look at this squad, Dave, and I have no problems with the tight ends. Obviously, I think that's a strong pairing up there, especially if Reed remains healthy. Running backs with Elliott and Howard at the top are going to be good. He didn't take another running back until round 9, but he gets a pass catcher in Bernard, a pass catcher in Powell, high upside guy in Martin on the 12th that, potentially maybe taking over the job for Lynch, or if Lynch gets dinged up. So there's certainly some upside there. Receivers are where I have the problem. I'm still not sold on Doug Baldwin, especially if he's coming into the season a little messed up. You have Julian Edelman, who we know is out the first 4 games. Jordy Nelson, we're not sure. We talked about that being a potential overdraft. Jordy Nelson, we don't know what he has left in the tank. And then Devontae Parker, who seemingly lets us down every year. There's some upside with Beasley and Coleman late, but the receivers need to come through if this team is going to do some damage.
Yeah, actually, I did like you mentioned his receiver picks. I didn't mind, Devontae Parker in the 10th round. It's like, I don't like him, but who cares? 10th round, that's pretty cheap. Beasley is solid. Corey Coleman was 16th is kind of interesting, too, at the very end of the 16th round. So I think his receivers have some potential that, like you said, need to come through. That third running back, too, he's got to figure that out a little bit after Elliott and Howard. There's always a chance one of those guys misses a few games.
Right.
Otherwise, solid team overall, though.
Moving on to the defending champion from 2017, it is the notorious BIP, Biplab Mandel. It is Todd Gurley, Joe Nixon, Derrick Henry, Tariq Cohen, Jamal Williams, James Conner at running back.
Is the internet crashing?
No, we're good. We're good.
I heard a noise.
It was not a bad noise. Mike Evans, Jarvis Landry, Chris Hogan, Nelson Aguilar, Des Bryant, Kelvin Benjamin, Calvin Ridley at receiver. Tight ends are Tyler Eifert and Eric Ebron.
Team's terrible.
Quarterback is Marcus Mariota.
Of all.
So now Dave can't really speak honestly, or maybe he is speaking honestly, I don't know, because Biplab actually asked him to trash his team tonight, which Dave is clearly doing. So I will try to speak from a non-biased or an unbiased point of view here when I say the running back and receiver stack was on hit in the first 9 rounds, as that's all Biplab took, and he did a good job acquiring a lot of talent there, and I can definitely get on board with that. If this team is to compete, Tyler Eifert will need to remain healthy. I shouldn't say compete, it'll compete. But Tyler Eifert will need to stay healthy, and Eric Ebron's going to have to be relevant in that Colts passing game. If those things happen, or even maybe if just one of them happens, this team has a strong bet of getting into the playoffs again for the second straight year.
Yeah, I look at the way he drafted, and he spent a total of a combination of quarterback and tight end picks. He spent a total of 2 in the first 15 rounds. So his running backs and receivers are fantastic. They're super solid, super deep, too. So his flex position is going to be good every week. Eifert and Ebron, of course, the questions, we will see. Apparently he's believing in Eifert, and that's just so tough to do. If I were him, I would actually try and snag, what does he got here? Try and snag one more, no, he can't. So I guess I would have, instead of Kenny Britt, I would have probably tried to grab a 3rd tight end. But that's picking a nits, and he's got Mariota, so he's fine at quarterback. He's actually counting on picking up another quarterback off waivers maybe in a few weeks, if then.
Yeah, that's
or
fine.
let's roll with one. That's the thing in these 20-round leagues. It's like, this is fine with Marcus Mariota. I mean, they probably have an easy matchup the first few weeks, so it's
right.
good pick, good drafting. He's fine there. Good team, really good team. Hey, Bip, really great job.
Yeah, right.
Great job, buddy.
Biplab,
You're going to win it again.
You can't see it. He's holding up a sign that says, "This team sucks." So good luck to you defending the belt. Truth Warrior, Kern Reed. Running backs, David Johnson, Jarek McKinnon, Duke Johnson, James White, Jaborius Allen. Receivers, Demarius Thomas, Alshon Jeffrey, Robbie Anderson, Tyler Lockett, Danny Amendola, Tyrell Williams. Tight ends are Travis Kelce and O.J. Howard. Quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, Tom Brady, Jags defense, and Steven Gostkowski. Kern did a really good job of getting a lot of options at receiver, and I think he did a good job acquiring that talent. The running backs, while light, they're all pass catchers. Duke Johnson, James White, Buck Allen should all catch a lot of passes this year. He has Kelce, and he has Howard. I think that's a great tight end stable. And as much as I didn't like the Tom Brady selection in round 10 with Deshaun Watson, this team ended up looking pretty strong to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, with Kelce and then he had Howard behind him, I thought that the Brady pick and the Jaguars pick were both non-needed luxury picks. I don't know really why he went that direction. The team did turn out well. I thought.
Isn't non-needed and luxury like the same thing?
Right, they both are.
Yeah.
Non-needed and luxury.
Oh my goodness.
Right, so whatever. So Lockett, Amendola, Tyrell. I like Tyrell Williams. I think Mike Williams is terrible, so I think the Tyrell pick's great. I think Danny Amendola could be the number 1 there, and Lockett's, with Doug Baldwin's issues, Lockett's a good pick. I thought Robbie Anderson was a little bit early, so I'm not, he could be great, but you're not going to have a great passing game there. And Demarius Thomas and Jeffrey, you still have to worry about Jeffrey, but I love Demarius Thomas. David Johnson, McKinnon. It's a nice team. I mean, overall, it's a really nice team with Duke Johnson as your number 3 back. Overall, really good.
Let's go to Tony Pung's team. This is the Ultra Zero RB squad. Running backs are Isaiah Crowell, Carlos Hyde, Aaron Jones, Devontae Booker, Jordan Wilkins, Latavius Murray, Deontay Foreman. Receivers, Odell Beckham, Devontae Adams, Brandon Cooks, Josh Gordon, Dante Pettis. Tight end, Zach Ertz and Kyle Rudolph. Quarterback is Andrew Luck. Chargers defense and the Rams defense. I always screw that up. Rams defense and Harrison Butker is the kicker on this squad. He went 0 RB, did not take a running back until the 7th round, and then he pounded him. And there's some upside there. I mean, Crowell obviously is probably going to be the main guy with the Jets. Carlos Hyde is trying to carve out a role in that backfield in Cleveland. Aaron Jones, a lot of FFPC players seem to be believing in him as he's usually the number 1 running back off the board for Green Bay. He will miss the first 2 weeks of the season. Devontae Booker is fighting for that starting job in Denver, as is Jordan Wilkins in Indianapolis. You have Latavius Murray, who showed that he can perform if Dalvin Cook can't, like he did last year. And then Deontay Foreman, an interesting guy later on in the 15th round. Receivers are great at the top. I just question the depth. I mean, Dante Pettis is your 5, and Josh Gordon is your 4 when you're not sure what you're going to be getting with him. Tight ends I really like, too. I think this is another strong contender. It has more question marks than maybe the other three teams, also has a certain amount more of upside too.
Yeah, a lot of risk with this team and a lot of potential reward. I mean, you just need. It's interesting because he didn't take pairs at running backs. Like a lot of times, there's so many pairs out there you could grab. He ignored that. He didn't go for that. He's like, I'll take Carlos Hyde and I'll put my flag on Carlos Hyde. And I'll take Aaron Jones and I'll just take him. I'm not going to take Ty Montgomery. I'm not going to take Jamal Williams. That's fine. And so it could really work out. It could be a total disaster. But that's okay. You know, you want to win your league, right? So it's like that. I actually don't mind the strategy at all. This team it's interesting. It's probably not exactly how I would have drafted it, but I get it. It makes sense.
Jack Hahn always says, I'm not drafting for second or third place or even fourth. I'm drafting for first, and sometimes that's the way that you end up maybe winning $250,000, which these guys will be competing for as well. Dilly, it is Frank Imbornoni. We talked about how much I like this team from the start. What did he do after that? We'll tell you now. Running backs, Le'Veon Bell, Royce Freeman, Marshawn Lynch, C.J. Anderson, Kalen Ballage. Receivers, A.J. Green, Larry Fitzgerald, Allen Robinson, Emmanuel Sanders, Alan Hearns, Rashard Matthews. Tight end, Vance McDonald, Vernon Davis, Gerald Everett. And quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, Jameis Winston. And we'll just leave it at that. So this squad, Dave, it started off extraordinarily strong. I guess I wasn't a huge fan of the running backs. Now, he did only soak a 6th-round pick into Royce Freeman. I've seen him drafted way higher than that.
I've seen him also drafted way lower, though.
Oh, Royce Freeman?
Right.
Okay.
Where's Royce Freeman's ADP? I'm guessing it's like more than the 7th or 8th.
We'll find out right now, Dave.
I might be wrong, though. I don't know.
I can tell you it is 507.
All right, so
that's where he normally goes.
So actually, you get value there. Okay.
He has gone as late as the 6'10" for what it's worth.
All right.
So now you have you have
the starting job fully open, supposedly, right?
Marshawn Lynch, supposedly. Marshawn Lynch should be the starter for the Raiders. Anderson, obviously, you got to replace those 200-plus touches with Jonathan Stewart somehow. I know the Panthers want to give them all to Christian McCaffrey, it seems like, and then some.
Rivera.
But
Rivera.
Yeah. And Kalen Ballage, certainly an upside guy late. I guess outside of Bell, I'm not a huge fan of the backfield. But the thing is, when he got Bell at 105, he was able to focus on receivers and get those studs in Green, Fitz, Robinson, and even Emmanuel Sanders is your number 4. I know you didn't like the Aaron Rodgers selection. Again, I wouldn't have done that in the 5th round. I would have gone maybe a tight end there would have been the play, getting Evan Engram, George Kittle potentially. Instead, he's left a little shorthanded at tight end with McDonald, Davis, and Everett. So this team, I like the start. Just after that, it kind of veered down a path I would not have trod.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And when you have Vance McDonald, Vernon Davis, and Everett as your 3 tight ends, that's a little risky. It's a lot risky, actually. And I feel like the first 4 rounds were fantastic. I mean, it could have gone better for him. After that, I would have gone a totally different direction. But because of the first 4 rounds, and Rodgers, I may not like the pick, but he's still going to score a ton of points, right? So his team could still work out really well. Alan Hearns, he could be great in the 11th round. I don't know. It's totally possible. And, so we'll see what happens with the squad. Tight end is definitely a weakness, though, and Vance McDonald's going to have to come through for him. Or Jordan Reed's just going to have to play like normal and, get hurt.
Yeah, you could, what's the percentage chance that Jordan Reed misses a significant amount of time? Certainly over the last couple of years, that's exactly what's happened, and Vernon Davis has stepped up. Vance McDonald, I'll say this. Smith-Schuster was battling a knee injury earlier. Brown's battling a leg injury now. I know Vance McDonald himself got hurt, but there is some potential in that offense. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that team. Moose. It's Emerson Rammel picking 6th tonight. Running backs, Alvin Kamara, Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, Matt Breida, Theo Riddick. Receivers, Marvin Jones, Sammy Watkins, Marquise Goodwin, Will Fuller, Kenny Galladay, Cortland Sutton, Christian Kirk as well. Tight ends are Jimmy Graham, Dallas Goedert. Quarterbacks, Ben Roethlisberger, and Matt Ryan. Why don't I like this team? Because I'm going through it. I'm like, there's a reason I don't like it. You look at the running backs, I don't have a problem with that. Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida, Theo Riddick as your 3, 4, 5. Yep, totally on board with that. I guess maybe Marvin Jones is my 1 I'm struggling with, and I'm not the biggest Sammy Watkins guy in the world, although, getting him in the 5th I'm okay with. I like the Marquise Goodwin pick, although that was kind of high in the 6th. I'm definitely not on board with Will Fuller. I guess the problem I have is the receivers on this team. Just a little bit questionable for me.
Yeah, the receivers are just receivers I think you and I are not. I like Sammy Watkins, actually. I also like Goodwin, but I don't like him in the 6th round. I think that's expensive. I think Will Fuller in the 8th round is also expensive. So the team could compete. When you look at after the top three backs, I mean, but he's got three backs, and then waiting on Roethlisberger and Ryan is fine. I think it's just because the receivers or his players that I'm not the guy. I'm not going to draft those types of guys. Like I would take an Allen Robinson or Demaryius Thomas over Marvin Jones. I think that's where it started, right? And then after that, it just goes from there. There's just different players that we would have taken.
Maybe even Landry over Marvin Jones too.
Sure, I would have. Yeah.
Aunt Jemima, it's John Terry, and his running backs are Christian McCaffrey, LaShawn McCoy, Ronald Jones, Chris Carson, Chris Ivory. Receivers Antonio Brown, T.Y. Hilton, Cooper Kupp, Marquise Lee, Anthony Miller, Josh Doxson, Dante Moncrief. Tight ends Evan Engram, David Njoku. Jared Goff and Cam Newton are the quarterbacks. You have the Eagles. Philly is the defense for John Terry. We talked about this earlier, this team, Dave. I think I like the running backs more than you do. And he did a good job getting some really, I mean, he only had 3 receivers going into round 11, which is a little light. But to get a guy like Lee, a guy like Miller, Doxson, I mean, even Moncrief to a certain extent, but especially Lee and Miller, I thought he did a good job filling that number 4, number 5 spot on his roster. So I like this team too. I mean, it's a recurring theme, but this is a good team.
I think you might have misconstrued my remarks about his running back.
Maybe I did.
I think they're great because he spread them out and he drafted pass-catching backs. McCaffrey, McCoy, Ronald Jones, Carson, who may be the starter.
Chris Ivory, who may be the starter.
I mean, you're right, exactly. So, he's got that covered at least. I agree with you about the receivers, too. I mean, Antonio Brown, Hilton, Kupp, and then getting these upside-type players, those are great. I think he has a really fantastic draft. This team is probably the most similar to how I would have drafted a team. In fact, this is the team I would probably take to the bank, the one I would actually like to own the most.
No, there you go. Kirk Ekis, Saquon Barkley, Kerryon Johnson, Rex Burkhead, Ty Montgomery, Naheem Hines, Jalen Samuels, holy rookie running backs. Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen, Amari Cooper, Corey Davis, Kenny Stills, Mike Williams, Michael Gallup at receiver, George Kittle and Jake Butt at tight end, Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. He's got the cheat code at quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, right. So I certainly like that. So I look at this team, Dave, there's a lot of youth which at running back, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing anymore. And to get Burkhead, Montgomery, Hines, all pass-catching running backs from rounds 8 to 10, he did a good job. His receivers up at the top, I really like Thomas, Thielen, Cooper, Corey Davis. Tight ends are the question mark for me on this team. And, when we were talking to Kirk Ekis before, I think it was clear that he did not come into this draft trying to acquire, pricey tight end talent. He was going to let the draft come to him. And he still gets Kittle on his squad, which I think is fine. He gets Jake Butley, who could be a starting tight end in Denver. But this is another team. Again, it's just I think everybody, you have 12 very talented owners here, and Kirk came out with a competitive team.
Yeah, I think you look at, I'm going to talk about his team as well as the other 2 teams before. I mean, you look at the way they drafted quarterbacks. And actually, I should just say all the teams after Team 5. They drafted, Cam, Wentz, Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Rivers as their starter, Stafford, Big Ben. And, you pair, the team before, Big Ben with Matt Ryan in the 12th and 14th. I mean, dude, what's the problem with those 2 quarterbacks as your quarterbacks, right? So what is the reason for taking quarterbacks early? Even Aunt Jemima, I like this team, and Cam's fantastic. He's finishing top 5, top 6 all the time, so that's why he goes there. But you're getting solid quarterback play so late. It just makes so little sense to take one in the 5th or 6th round. Anyway, back to this team. I like it overall. I think that his running backs are a little bit on the weak side, but I think he did a really good job addressing it with Kerryon Johnson, Burkhead, Montgomery, and Hines there. And our receivers are great. I like the team overall. Really nice job.
Gene Sykes, Lazy Crickets is next, and it's Mark Ingram, Rashad Penny, Sony Michel, Marlon Mack, Kenneth Dixon at running back. Receivers are Pierre Garcon, Devin Funchess, Paul Richardson, Martavis Bryant, Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins. Did I say him? I don't know if I did. Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, he's good.
Okay, yes, thank you. Rob Gronkowski, Greg Olsen, and Charles Clay at tight end. And Carson Wentz is the quarterback on this squad. Dave, tight ends are obviously probably the best in the league. Receivers, I guess Hopkins is awesome. There's some question marks with Garcon lately and Funchess and Richardson and Bryant. None of those guys might be the number ones on their team, so the depth's a little questionable. And then running back, too. Ingram gone for the first 4 weeks. Rashad Penny might not be the starter. I like Michelle and I like Matt, but there's some question marks at running back on this squad as well as the receiver depth.
Well, I mean, it's like when picking running backs, it's like he looked for everyone that had a question mark and then drafted them, and that's okay. I mean, it's fine. You only really need 2, and then by taking Gronkowski and Olsen early, it really does handicap the team. I don't care for taking two tight ends so early like that. I think it just makes it tough. And then by stacking 4 running backs all through 8 rounds, now you've got 4 running backs and 2 tight ends. Now you can only have drafted 2 wide receivers, and then you take Wentz on the 9th, and it's kind of like just kind of handicaps your team. Your receivers are definitely going to be the weakest part of your team, and you just can't recover from that because they just get weaker and weaker and weaker as you go round by round by round.
Hong Kong, that's Ray Chung's squad. Running backs Melvin Gordon, Dalvin Cook, Alex Collins, Kenyon Drake, Chris Thompson. Receivers Stephon Diggs, Michael Crabtree, Randall Cobb, Sterling Shepard, Cameron Meredith. Tight ends Jack Doyle, Mike Gesicki, and Jared Cook. Kirk Cousins and Jimmy Garoppolo are rocking the quarterback position. The Chargers are the defense there. Running backs are fantastic, Dave. I can get on board with the receivers too. Cobb and Shepard is the 3 and 4 behind Crabtree and Diggs. Even Meredith popping up in there. The question mark I have for this team, and I think Ray would agree, tight ends have to come through.
How come you didn't bring it up when he was on the air? Because he was so nice.
Didn't I bring it up on the air?
No, you kind of you were nice enough to omit that mostly. You said Gesicki was looking good in camp.
He is looking good in camp. Jared Cook
the diplomat was talking.
Okay, I'll say this. Jared Cook, the number 3 tight end on this, I think he's a fantastic number 3 tight end. But to only have Doyle as your only tight end through whatever it was, 12 rounds. Gesicki will need to come through. Cook will need to put up numbers. So I think that's the question mark I have on this team. Running backs are going to carry them, and I mean they're really, really good. Kenyon Drake was a steal.
Yeah, I mean my problem with Jared Cook is he sucks, right? I mean,
he's also number 3 tight end on his roster. I mean, look where he got him. Look at what the investment was.
So first of all, his number 2 tight end is Gesicki, who's a rookie. Rookie tight ends very rarely do anything. It's like Jeremy Shockey and Evan Ingram and like one other guy maybe. And then Jack Doyle has to worry about Ebron a little. So obviously that's the only thing I'm worried about is tight ends. The rest of his team is fantastic. It's almost like he almost got cursed by having to take Drake because it was a great pick.
Love the Drake.
I thought that Drake was a great pick actually. And his running backs are so sick. He's going to always have no problem starting running backs. He's going to be great there. His receivers are good too. So if those tight ends come through, we'll see what happens. But the quarterbacks are great. His team's fine.
Let's go to heroes and villains. That's Ken Orovitz. Who's the hero? Who's the villain? We'll tell you right now. Running backs, Leonard Fournette, Jay Ajayi, Lamar Miller, Nick Chubb, Peyton Barber, Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill, Juju Smith-Schuster, Robert Woods, Mohamed Sanu at receiver. Tight ends, Cameron Brate, Austin Seferian Jenkins, Benjamin Watson, Ricky Seals-Jones, Phillip Rivers, and Alex Smith are the quarterbacks. It's sort of the same theme I have with Ray's team. Although I like the options that he has a little bit better, that Ken has at tight end. 1 or 2 of those guys come through. This team will look good as long as the top 3 receivers stay healthy. And, there's no question they're going to perform. Fournette's going to have a big year. Lamar Miller, say what you will about him, but to get Lamar Miller in the 6th round I thought was good value. And then he has a starting running back off the Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, I like this team actually overall. The tight end, actually, the Brate pick was the one I probably liked the least, honestly, about ASJ, Watson, and Ricky Seals-Jones. I like the hyphen tight ends this year, evidently.
Yeah.
But 4 of them is a little bit overkill. I would have liked, I feel like that those could be roster cloggers on your 20-round team. So otherwise, the team's pretty solid, though. I like Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill, Juju. I'm worried about Tyreek Hill this year. I just feel like he's a low-volume player. He has to be super efficient with his targets, and he has to deal with other players, other talented players on the team. But Keenan Allen and Juju, those are both nice picks as well. Team's pretty good, though.
Finally, rounding things up tonight is Vince Staffolino at the 12 spot. His running backs, Kareem Hunt, Darius Geis, Dion Lewis, Corey Clement, Austin Eckler, T.J. Yeldon. Receivers, Julio Jones, Golden Tate, Jamison Crowder, DJ Moore, Keelan Cole. Then you have tight end, Trey Burton, Hayden Hurst, and Austin Hooper. Russell Wilson as the quarterback. Like this team, too, Dave. You look at the running backs outside of Hunt and Geis, there's some question marks, but the one thing that Lewis, Clement, Eckler, and Yeldon all have in common, they should be catching passes this year, and we know how key that is in getting PPR or running backs in PPR formats that can catch the ball out of the backfield. The receiver depth, is a little bit light, but Crowder, Moore, Cole, I think they're going to get it done for him as far as his backup receivers. And I have no problem with the tight end trio, Burton, Hurst, and Hooper. I'm on board with that.
Yeah, I like a lot of the players that he took in the spots that he took them. I thought Hurst, as a rookie tight end, because he's 25, I think he's okay. Hooper super late like that with Burton, I think those 3 tight ends will work out well. Receivers are a little bit on the weak tip, but I think DJ Moore is your 4 and Keelan Cole is your 5. That's good. I think during bye weeks it could go back to Hunt unless DJ Moore totally breaks out as a rookie, which I somehow think he's going to. Hunt, Geist, Lewis, all really good there. And Russell, when you have a Russell Wilson on your team, you feel just a little bit better at night.
Yeah, you do. And the Seahawks do too, as long as they can keep them
really
upright.
should.
Yeah, they should. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our show tonight. I want to thank the FFPC, Dave Gerzak, our producer, mutual friend Rob, our audio engineer Bryce, and most of all of our listeners that have put up with, whatever it's been. Us, obviously, but it's been, 14 hours, 15 hours of us over the last 2 weeks. Certainly, if you are just downloading and not listening, no harm, no foul, and I can't blame you at all. So thanks so much for tuning in. For everybody who has enjoyed it, thank you. We appreciate it. Special thanks to all the callers we got tonight, all the guests that joined the program: Jimmy Wagner, Kurt Kikas, Ray Chung, and of course Farrell Elliott. And if you do want to get involved in the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship, give them a buzz on the Vampire phone. It's 502-523-5057. Draft boards will be posted this weekend on our social media accounts as well as on the FFPC message boards. Next week, we will resume at 10/9 Central with a longtime friend of the show. It is FFMastermind.com's Michael Nazarek coming on the show next week. He will be talking about his I say the full draft board will be posted tomorrow, Dave. They got through the whole thing tonight like 15, 20 minutes ago. It was an uber fast draft, so congratulations to all the drafters tonight getting the entire draft in. YouTube saw the whole thing, and now the world will see the whole thing tomorrow on all the social media, on all the message boards and everything like that. This concludes our live draft coverage for 2018. It'll be fun to get back to our normal shtick on the show and not have to come up with a bunch of material as we normally do. Kudos to you, and kudos again, Dave. Fantastic job.
Nice job, Walker. You did a good job.
Well, thank you so much.
You know
But I will not sign off on that. You did a great job. Everyone did a good job. Everybody did a really, really great job. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Talk to you next week.
The lowest prices on the best bathrooms are at the Home Depot's Summer Kitchen and Bath event. Update your bathroom with your choice of exclusive Moen faucets that won't open the tap on your budget. Hensley and Darcy bath faucets in spot resist brushed nickel finish are just $79 a piece. A better bathroom starts with a lower price, and it all starts at the Summer Kitchen and Bath event, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through September 19th while supplies last.